Well, cool. Let's close Twitter. Close social media stuff, because who needs that? And let's dive into some legends. So plan for today. Yeah, I don't know. Plan for today, like I said earlier, is we're going to generate some worlds. That's the plan. I'm thinking we do a long history on, or long history on a large world, not very long. So 500 years. Let's do very high number of civs, high number of sites. Leave you all on normals. Just go. Because this stuff's going to be way faster in the future. Once the next patch is out, like, generating worlds is going to be a much quicker thing, to the point where it's like, supposedly you can do a very long history, large world in, like, under 20 minutes, which is kind of bonkers. Because I'm just so used to this stuff taking, you know, quite a considerable amount of time. But we're going to see what we can build and if we can find some fun stories. Because I've had some people asking about legends recently, so I figured it was maybe the time to get some of this going. But chat room, we've been a little quiet for the last couple seconds, so what are you guys doing to get by surviving the long wait until premium's release? Because there's only so much I can say about a baby liking steak, mind. I'm sorry. This is like, you've lost me. Like, I just, meh. By that, I mean there's literally nothing I could say about that, because it's like, oh, okay, baby like food. How strange. What kind of electronics? Get lakes and rivers, rainfall, canyons. Might even do some adventures today if there's interest. Only if there's interest, though. Sandwich currently? Nah. I just want to get the conversation about Dwarf Fortress rolling. Because we had some for a minute there, and then, I don't know. We swapped over to the game, and now suddenly everybody's quiet again. It's mysterious. Facing other beasts. Making cave populations, placing civilizations, and the world can begin generating. The Everseeing dimension. Ever see these nuts? After 40 sudden apocalypses, too. Building in a Windows PC. I mean, you know, here's the thing. Like, it'll run in Proton. Come on. Like, vanilla runs, I have no idea what any of that means, mind. Like, vanilla runs in Proton already, right now, even though there's native Linux builds. So I don't see why it wouldn't run in Proton post-premium. We got 4 more rejections? God damn it. Hey, Darren. How's things? You'll wait with playing new indies that come out this month? Yeah, there's always something to play. You're building lightning in a bottle then? Cool. You finally made it to, I don't understand shit level of discussion. Although I understood the Zap-Zaps bit about that. That whole sentence, though, mind, is just like one of those. I understand all of those words, just not in that specific order. There we go. We finally got a successful civilization placement. Take a peek at the actual world, though. Pause. Just painting Warhammer minis? I get you. Oh, this almost... I was going to say that this kind of looks like Sideways North America, and then I saw the rest of it. It looks nothing like North America. I do kind of like these big-ass islands, though. It's cool. It's a shame that this isn't connected. And actually, that could be a really fun play. Just building a bridge there. Making a massive intercontinental bridge. This is kind of like... Wow, okay, that's actually a lake. I mean, it says it's a sea, but it's a landlocked sea at the very least. I wonder, I would assume it'd be saltwater then. Kind of, what, of Kerbin? A spare 3080. Just, you know, I just got a spare 3080 lying around. just been using it as like a coaster or something, right? I will say, I am banking on this 3070 that I have now to heat my apartment for the winter. Several spare 3080s. Crypto enthusiast. I'm watching you. Continue. There is an island in a lake on an island in a lake on an island in a lake. That sounds like an MC Escher painting. You got out of that scene. Most people did. Okay, allow me to reiterate. You recovering crypto enthusiast. I mean, I remember talking about that stuff with you, right? But, you know, I wonder how many people are building new PCs to play Dwarf Fortress at launch. Fortunately, you don't need a particularly fancy graphics card. Like, you can get away with something a little bit older on the graphics front. Like, as long as you have a CPU that's decent, and a motherboard, and a decent amount of RAM, like, you'll be fine. Also, like, Dwarf Fortress actually has recommended requirements now, which it didn't before. Like, previous, it just had, like, no system requirements. But now it's actually got, like, what you need. So you only need a dual-core CPU, 4 gigahertz plus. You only need a 64-bit operating system, 4 gigs of RAM, and 500 megabytes of hard drive space. So you could get away with, like, you know, just, like, 2 gigs of hard drive space and be totally fine. I mean, Steam, so vanilla Dwarf Fortress, like this version that I'm playing right now, plays on a Steam Deck already. I don't own a Steam Deck, so I don't know what it's like currently to get Linux or non-Linux native games running. But what I do know is that Dwarf Fortress, the Windows version, runs in Proton already, just like it runs in Wine already. So I'd be willing to bet $1 that if there's a will, there's probably a way. How is everyone, Curses? I'm still finishing my first cup of coffee. It probably would play on Windows XP, but I mean, they are stating that you need a 64-bit operating system. So, I mean, there was a 64-bit version of Windows XP. But the thing that, like, you need to remember is, like, I don't know about how powerful your last Windows XP computer was, Templex, but mine was pretty limp dick in comparison to more modern stuff. And I would be not super surprised if it just straight up didn't launch. Oh. Or crashed computer. Don't think you've seen a canyon fort? You need to pay more attention to my older forts then.
I'll take that bet and raise you less than 3 days before we see pics in Reddit of it running on a Steam Deck.
I've already seen pics on Reddit of it running on a Steam Deck. There's multiple pictures of Dwarf Fortress running on a Steam Deck already. Starting to see Necromancer towers. Also, check it. I get a couple beers. Pilot dropped $1 in the chat. Oh, also, something else we have to try today, which we'll do in a little bit.
Woohoo!
I found a game that forces Wikipedia rabbit holes. It's called Wiki Arena. It's literally just like, kind of like a Wikipedia mini game about going on Wikipedia deep dives. Anyway, looks like a bit of fun. So we're gonna try some of that after we've made it through this. Probably won't be certified Stream Deck ever, fully usable only with a controller. I mean, it'll be completely mouse supported, and the Steam Deck has those touch pads and a touch screen. So I mean, it won't ever have controller support for the menus. I mean, that would be kind of redundant, but... Or rather, I wouldn't expect it to have controller support for the menus or anything, but... I mean, as long as you can just poke it with your finger, I don't see it being a problem. The oldest box he played DF on was a Vista 64 machine, but that's probably still got more memory. That's probably still got more memory than lots of laptops they want to push now. Fair enough. Sure. I don't know. I build canyon forts all the time, Deadless, which is why I say that. Some of my favorite forts ever have been canyon forts, actually. So this is technically going to be a 500-year fort. This is going to take a very, very long time. Get to 500 years. But there's a lot of evil going on. Seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. See, actually, I wonder what happened to this tower. There's a Necromancer tower there that's dead now. Be kind of cool if we could get past the Age of Myth, though. What's up, Jayberry? Yeah. It would be cool if we could get past the Age of Myth. But a feeling we're going to be stuck in there for a little bit. Take a peek around. Whenever the game decides to let me. I've told it to pause. It'll take it like 4 or 5 years to do that. So I was watching Giant Waffle learning Dwarf Fortress the other day. And from what I could tell, he'd either not played it in a decade or never played it before. To which I really have to ask the question. What is the point of like sitting like as this content creator? What is the point of sitting down and trying to learn Dwarf Fortress right now? It's kind of like, oh god, I gotta get a leg up on the competition. It's like you'd really have to play the game a lot. But I don't think there's really anybody who's willing to put the time in now to learn Dwarf Fortress to a point where you'd actually gain enough information that you'd have an advantage going into premium. Yeah, it's like, where have you been the last few years? Like you'll get much more out of just playing the game right now. Let's see if I can trick it into pausing briefly. There we go. Take a look around, shall we? I like this area. It's just some humans, some elves, and then 2 Necromancer towers. Goddamn humans ruining the elves' nice little safe haven up here. Being all evil and extending their life. There's also this one up here in this glacier. This is going to be a spooky hellhole eventually. The Ancient Blizzard, the Tower of Ebithola? Ebithola? I mean, me too. I know that, like, I might not seem as excited just because I do already play the game. I'm more stressed. Because I know how much work it's going to be for me when premium drops. And, like, I'm kind of terrified. The wondrous continent of the escorted hills. The rank blizzards. So many blizzards here. Elder Glacier. That's a good name. That's the cruel blizzards. And the invisible seas. They're pretty visible. Time to relearn how to replay this game. Yeah, I mean, like, if you've played it before and it's like a refresher, it makes sense why people are coming back. But what's gonna boggle my mind, I think, are people who've never played the game before who are just like, well, time to learn Dwarf Fortress. Teach me how to play this game in 30 minutes. Yeah, and every single individual default mechanic. And they'll also be like, you're not really blind. That's what I'm looking forward to, you know? Man, these dwarves, they got completely wrecked. Like this Necromancer tower in the middle here. The Dwarven Tower of Milbillarids. The Desert Portent. Just founded in this little mountain range. And they've just seemingly annihilated this entire faction. Like there's this hillocks here. And this little hillocks here. That seems to be it. Like what's left? I'm not seeing any other dwarven stuff around here. There's like the odd fortress up here, but they seem to all be hillixes. The rest are all just dead. Wow. Necromancy kills, folks. More elves. A whole nother faction. There's going to be a lot of dead factions in this world. Based on how many Necromancer towers I'm seeing and how many not dead ones I'm seeing. Oh, here's 2 dead ones. There's a dead one. And there's a dead one. Before it opens up to the greater public? Probably. I think that's probably got something to do with it. I think there's certainly something to be said for the advantage. That and, like, it was kind of interesting, like, at least watching Giant Waffle stream, because he was talking about, like, premium, right? And he's like, yeah, no, I think that he said, I think the game's going to have a new UI. I think it will be out, I think actually what's happening right now is there's a lot of people who've seen one piece of content about Dwarf Fortress Premium, and that is the announcement trailer, which, now that I'm thinking about it, doesn't actually show any of the UI. It's literally just like a dwarf walk in that it says the release date. That's it, right? It's like ASCII, not ASCII, release date, right? Which does lead me to believe that maybe there's some people who don't actually realize how comprehensive Premium actually is. But, you know. Decided to exist in this world? Seems like a lot. I mean, it is a large number of factions, which means the likelihood of, like, splinter groups forking off from different factions is higher, forming new ones. But it does seem like a whole lot. I mean, like, there's 1 here, there's 2 there. Certainly feels like a very necromancy-heavy world. I quite like this area. This area is pretty cool. It's like these 2 huge mountain ranges with humans out. Like, basically everything is just kind of cooked into these little areas, and then just, like, these kind of outskirts of, like, these goblin encampments and, like, the kind of more dead areas. That's a pretty cool zone. Is that a good lake? Gotta be a good lake. The Humble Land. Cool. Let's continue it. Let this world keep going. Or you need to remember that trading with elves is actually really profitable. They bring giant elephants sometimes. They bring unicorns. Nothing wrong with trading with elves. Generally the route that I go, frankly. At least in the current game. In the current game, they're not a threat to fight with because they're so pathetically underpowered in the current game. And so fighting with them is just kind of like a net loss for everybody because you lose out on a lot of food and livestock variety that you can get very easily from them. But then when you have to fight them, they're just more annoying than anything because they're so weak. Like, the fact that they don't even have weapons, really. You know the reason for hating elves? It comes from the Lord of the Rings and Warhammer, and elves complain that humans screw stuff up, but they don't have to fix on Lord of the Rings. No, people hate elves because they like channeling their racism at something, and people like having analogs for racist roleplay. That's why people hate elves. It's not a big rant. I completely disagree with you, actually. And so for people, it's easy to hate elves because it's the easiest thing to point at as the natural enemy. Why is that sad? That's a good thing, Jayberry. I wasn't intending on moving Long Death up anyway. Fair enough, Deadliest. I hate humans because I have to deal with them in real life. Elves don't exist. Which means they're just a fun character in a story. Not always the enemy. It's a boring story if you tell the same story every time. And if the same story is, the dwarves existed, then they killed all the elves. That's not interesting. Sometimes the dwarves have to be friends with the elves. Sometimes they have to be friends with the goblins. Sometimes they have to fight with other dwarves. Why tell the same story every single time? So many people seem to just tell the same story every time because that's what the memes tell them to tell. Where's the fun with that? I read that as Fridge, but you have a good time watching Fringe. Cheers, mind. I was like, go watch The Fridge. I was like, yeah, I watch The Fridge every night, especially when I'm stoned. I just stare at it and I'm like, there's food in there. But yeah, I don't know. To me, like, it's impossible for me to hate any one faction or species in this game because they all have interesting storytelling capabilities. And I think if you just sit there and focus on disliking them to your core, like, where's the fun in that? It's just the only actual evil race in the game are demons, and even that's debatable. I mean, genuinely the evilest faction in Dwarf Fortress are the humans because they're the only ones who believe that anything is legal if you're not caught. They actually are set up as one of the most villainous races. The goblins are just kind of sad because they're enslaved, but goblins are actually very dwarfy. Elves are interesting because they provide you with all kinds of good trade goods and are easily the best faction to trade with. Unless you're trying to import metals, in which case then generally the dwarves are the best faction to trade with. But as far as like getting exotic animals and weird war creatures and giant bears and stuff, why would it be against the intrinsical nature of Dwarf Fortress? My opinion on Steam achievements is they give certain people reason to keep playing, so I don't see a negative. Like, there are certain types of people that will put an extra 40 hours into a game just to get a specific achievement so that they can have that 100% goal. I will go for achievements if I'm bored and there's nothing else to do, but I don't really care one way or another. I don't think it's against the nature of Dwarf Fortress, and I don't think that it breaks the game or hinders the game in any way, and if it helps certain people enjoy the game more, I'm all for it. But I don't really see how it's against the intrinsical concept of Dwarf Fortress in any way. If anything, I think it'll give people an opportunity. Like, if they do them right, it'll give people an opportunity to play the game differently. Like, there's so many people who play the game and, like, never touch adventure mode. And there's so many people who play the game who never touch minecarts or never touch pumps or something. And if there's achievements involved with that, certain people will. Other people won't, but certain people will. And I see that as a positive. I guess it depends on how esoteric they are. If it's like, you know, I don't know, crush a plump helmet man with a boulder, yeah, of course it's going to be a little bit redundant, but on the achievement of not playing Stanley Parable for 5 years, you know the Ultra Deluxe Stanley Parable, it's 10 years. Also, you can get that achievement instantly by just changing your like computer clock. So, although they do mock you for cheating, it's 5 years. Blind's back on Sunday. Oh, this is mostly a bonus stream. I don't know, well, post-release of Premium, yeah, this'll be a thing. But currently, this is just a one-off. But the Hyper Strange streams are on pause until further notice, so we're gonna do a little 5-hour stream. Just generating a world, and then I'm gonna read some legends. Legends. I mean, I didn't know that achievement was a thing because I almost never look at achievement lists, Jayberry, and then someone mentioned it to me, and I looked at Stanley Parable and went, oh, I haven't played this since... It's not December 6th yet. What you talking about? You know? And then I looked at the thing. I was like, oh, I last launched this in 2013 or whatever. And so I launched it and got the achievement. I literally just like installed it, launched it, uninstalled it. Not that I have any interest in actually like 100%ing Stanley Parable. I got like 2 endings in Stanley Parable and that was enough. I was like, okay, I understand what this game's doing, and I lost interest like weirdly quickly in that game. Kind of thought that I wouldn't. I kind of thought that I would like play more of it, but turns out not. Turns out I lost interest very, very fast in that game. Very, very fast. It's a very meta game. Yeah, I don't know. I've played plenty of extraordinarily meta games before, but That one just kind of whooshed over my head a bit, I'll say. Also enjoyed the Ultra Deluxe version. Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it just kind of outstayed its welcome. I think if Stanley Parable was like a 3-hour game, I would have really liked it. But I made it like 4, 5, 6 hours into it, and I was like, this is still fucking going. So I don't know. A game like that for me, if it's longer than like 2 hours, like I think I liked the demo of Stanley Parable more than the actual Stanley Parable, just because it was like a miniature version of the Stanley Parable story. Another game that I also really enjoyed was Dr. Langeskov, the Tiger and the Terribly Cursed Emerald, which is a similar concept by Crows. And it was like 20 minutes long. It's all right. It's pelting rain outside, and so actually, I can't hear rain anymore. Scratch that. It's snowing outside. Snowing outside and cold as fuck. That's how it's hanging. And Monday streams on the Hyper Strange channel are to be determined / on permanent hiatus, so I'm streaming on a Sunday, because why not? I'm not gonna be streaming tomorrow, so might as well stream today. How's things with you, H2O? I also, again, I found the meta game design humor in the Beginner's Guide to be way funnier and way more interesting than the kind of like slapstick almost comedy of the Stanley Parable. Like I found the writing in the Beginner's Guide to be more interesting. So there's that. Today's gonna be fun. I get to take a bus. It's pissing down here. You prefer snow? Hey, at least it's raining. Raining's good for you. I have to go to my parents' house today, and I'm just like looking outside at the weather and going, "Oh, it's gonna be pleasant." I have to go do some work for them with the very, very, very part-time job. Okay, so I just got this comment, right? And this is genuinely funny to me. Just think about the amount of money he could make if he would have went with the Epic Games exclusive launch for the first year. And my entire response to that is just going to be, ah ha 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 ha. Lots of dots, and then no. That's all I have to say to that. It's kind of fitting that this person has Bane as their icon. Just think about how much it would have destroyed the Dwarf Fortress community if they'd gone with the Epic exclusive launch for the first year. Oh my god. Just think about how much that would have killed Dwarf Fortress. That would have been like absolute suicide if they'd done that. I will say one thing that I'm not a fan of with newbies is people's dismissiveness of Classic. And I think that's going to be something that's just going to bother me for a very long time. It's like, yes, Classic and the current game is absolutely playable. And yes, it's learnable. And yes, it's readable. And yes, you can see what's happening. Just because you don't have the patience or interest in learning it doesn't mean you need to be dismissive of those who do and those who have. And I've seen a lot of that, and I'm not looking forward to that. Especially because I know quite a few people are going to continue playing Classic and are going to continue playing ASCII. Just because you don't want to put the time in to learn something doesn't mean you should dismiss those who did. I think we're gonna go for 250 years. I was hoping we could get out of the Age of Myth, but I don't see that happening. At least at the speed that this has been going. Elven Forest Retreat of Kamir. More interested in the new UI than the premium sprites? Totally. Yeah. Depends how deep DF2 is going to be. I think I might try it, but we'll probably return after a few months. Wait, what? I'm very confused about that whole sentence. What do you mean DF2? Hey, Shenryan. How's things? Good day? Yeah, there is no DF2, which is why I'm very confused. Please elaborate. What is Steam DF2? It's like they're exactly the same game. Also, Dwarf Fortress is the sequel. I mean, okay, so just say premium. Because that's what it's actually called. It's not a sequel. And, well, technically Dwarf Fortress is the sequel. Slaves to Armok is the original. But, like, yay, imaginary points. But if you say DF2, you're just going to get people squinting at you funny. Please don't normalize that. Call it premium or Steam DF or just Dwarf Fortress. Actually, hold on a second. I'm just going to go to Google, and I'm going to type in DF2 and see what I get. DF2. Your maths problem? Yes. Yes, you are not subbed anymore. This is a factual truth, Bastet. Will the UI changes be ported back to Classic as well? Yes, it will, and yes, that's obvious. And no, I'm not going to forgive you for asking that question. Apology not accepted. No, yeah, of course. There's screenshots of it from 6/25/2022, because I literally just typed that into a comment. I put up a video this morning, which actually highlights the difference. The UI changes, the tutorial, the mouse support, everything from the game is going to be backported to Classic, including the locking away of Adventure Mode, which is kind of funny. And it will be available for free, hopefully day and date with the release of Premium. The only features you are not going to get if you continue playing Classic are the fancy new tile set, the multi-layer view, and the music and sound effects. Everything else is getting backported to Classic. Balance changes, everything. New workshops, new UX, everything. If I do this, I can click this, and that's what it's going to look like. So this will all be clickable UI. Obviously, you're not going to have the little portraits of dwarves there, I doubt. And I don't know how the mini-map's going to work, but aside from that, this is what the UI is going to look like in Classic, approximately. Although these screenshots are from months ago now. Like months ago, so those were a mock-up that Tarn did in a week. So I'm assuming it probably looks kind of different. Will probably look different when it's finally finished. But yeah, that's the thing. You like the minimalistic dial set for DF for you? Oh no, totally. I mean, like, there's absolutely benefits to Classic, or to ASCII, which is one of the reasons why I've been a little miffed about some of the, I don't know, just rudeness towards Classic that I've been getting in comments recently, which is hopefully something we can squish. It's like, I guess people need to remember that they are still the same game. Yeah, no. I mean, I know some people are sad about the UI, but, like, Tarn doesn't want to maintain 2 different UIs. Yeah, I just... I agree with this comment I just got. The creators are about to become rich overnight. Maybe not Notch's Minecraft rich, but nonetheless, they will be rich. I agree. That ASCII mockup looks fantastic. I mean, considering Tarn did that in what he describes as a 72-hour bender, yeah, it does look fantastic, doesn't it? What, this tile set? This name? I also really like this tile set. And, like, I've tried several others over the years, and, like, none of them really kind of fit as well as this one does. It's just such a nice, like, happy medium between the two, you know? Like, it's not difficult for newbies to get into, and it's also still ASCII. Which tile set is this? Exclamation point tile set. It's a modified version of Krug Smashes. So it's a variant, I guess, of Krug Smash's tile set. Yeah, the UI isn't going to scale when you zoom in and out. So yes. And text will be completely obsolete. Theoretically, though, I guess there's maybe a world where people will still use a version of text will be text for classic, but you know, honestly, like, I agree, but I'm happy that it worked for you, H2O, but I would have gotten into DF way heavier, way faster had the beginner launcher not been a thing. Hello, Animal. How are you? Because, like, every time I tried to learn the game in the early days, I used various versions of Lazy Noob Pack, and honestly, that stupid piece of software is the reason it took me as long as it did to properly learn the game. It surfaces so much useless information, it's not even funny. What day is it? It's Sunday, and this is a bonus stream. Because you didn't look at the announcements sections of my Discord or follow me on Twitter, clearly. No, I'm doing an extra stream on Sunday because the Monday streams for Hyperstrange are now on permanent hold. They are on what's the word? Permanent hiatus. That's the term I'm looking for. So there won't be a Monday stream, so I figured, might as well do a Sunday stream. Why not? It's Sunday, Arrow. You are allowed to answer that question. You're just not allowed to be obnoxious about Mondays. Sounds fun. You going again today, Animal? Or just the 2? Something that I want to do before premium drops, I want to go to the aquarium. I might go on the 19th. Because once premium's out, I'm not going to have time for anything. Let alone going to the aquarium. I'm with Dad on Sunday. That sounds fun. Sounds like a solid weekend. How's the weather over there? It's turned into winter over here, which is why I ask. Like, literally, Arrow, the problem that I have with you is you just stating that it's Monday every single day of the week when it's not Monday. So, you're allowed to answer questions about the day of the week, and you're allowed to communicate like a normal human being. You're just not allowed to be obnoxious about Mondays when it's not, in fact, Monday. And you saying things like, I'm not allowed to answer that question, just reinforces the annoying old, it's Monday bullshit without actually doing it, which in my opinion is worse than actually just being annoying about Monday. But, you know, one of these days you will figure out why you're annoying. And that will be a good day, because that will be better for everybody who has to listen to things that you have to say. Well, that's pretty good. Only a minute of rain? It's been raining for like 5 days, which is good. It's about damn time. We had way too long of a drought. All right, let's peek around. I think I might keep world as is. Wow. I really, really like this mountain fortress. I need to figure out what dwarven faction this is and see what happened. Because something at some point caused this entire dwarven faction to fall, and now it's this giant haunted mountain range. It's a really cool spot. I like that. It's got like these isolated lakes. The quick water of mussels. This is a cool spot. I really like that spot. It's like this dead dwarven faction. Wow, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towers? That's one way to die. Really goddamn quick. And settle right there. Or try and run an adventurer around in those areas. That or they pissed somebody off. I just want to read about the founding necromancer of this tower. Because something horrible happened here. I want to know what year that happened. Same with this tower down here. This one seems like it's getting a lot of power. It's kind of funny. So evil things in Dwarf Fortress actually spread corruption around them. Not too dissimilar to the way that, like, the Zerg in StarCraft spread the creep to, like, extend their reach, right? Hey, Nyeko. Nice thing. So, like, goblins in areas with demons in them will spread corruption. So, like, this is all an ocean around it, right? And this is the ocean originally. Then this kind of, like, corrupted crap is, like, spreading because there's a demon living here, right? Just like this was once a lovely little whimsical forest called the Whimsical Mire. And then this dwarven tower of Alothmothnik in the middle of the Whimsical Mire is just spreading this haunted, kind of terrifying biome around it. And that stuff actually, like, extends and spreads in real time. And then also will shrink back when they're destroyed. So, like, this is a destroyed tower, right? So this, like, corruption around it is, like, gonna recede back to where it came. It's a very well, like, implemented little fantasy trope for sure. What's up, Dead Raunchy? But, like, you can see it on the desert here, too. Like, it just, like, extends up these little roads. To the point where, like, I was talking to Tarn about this once. He was saying that, like, the actual goal of this feature is, like, say you had a fort right here, right? And this Necromancer tower exists. Your fort's biome could, like, shift in real time from, like, a non-haunted biome to a haunted biome. Because, like, I've seen, like, in, like, 20 years in game, a area go from being, like, a green area to looking all pink, like this area. Yeah, the corruption does disappear. The thing that doesn't happen in the game currently is, like, let's say I settle right here, right? Really close to this tower in an area that's still green, and the corruption surrounds my green area over the next 30 years, which could happen. And we fend off many zombie invasions and whatnot, and the corruption surrounds my area. My map that I'm actively playing on in-game wouldn't change, but the areas surrounding it will, unless I retire and reclaim the map. But in the future, supposedly, the corruption would theoretically envelop your zone, and then you could, like, de-haunt an area. Like, imagine, like, settling in a haunted zone, then killing the thing that makes it haunted, and then the area stop being haunted. That's what it's supposed to do in the future, which would be really fucking cool. But I think we're gonna use the world as it currently exists. Let's see if we can get through saving. Delay the... Well, I think that stuff's coming with the map rewrite, which is like post-villain stuff. Yep, the 2 versions of the game will be updated in sequence. Yako. Ideally, like, when Steam version launches, the free version will get an update within either the day that it launches or maybe a day or 2 after. So there will be 2 versions of the game. So if you can't afford to play premium, you can just play classic with the new UI. And I don't know how long it will take, but there will be tile sets that will be usable that will definitely make the game much more readable. Or for those of you who are, you know, brave, could do that. Or you could buy premium and then disable the tile set and play it in a way that looks like classic, even though you're playing it through Steam. Which, honestly, I think is the optimal way if you want to play with ASCII, is just buy the game and then turn off the tile set. Hey, Sunday? On a Sunday. The way you said brave scared me? Why? Why does that scare you? Alright, well, let's accept the world. Betty, good morning. I mean, like, here's the thing you need to know, right? Premium Dwarf Fortress is a tile set. It's just a really, 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 really big fancy tile set. But it's still just a tile set.
Been a while, but only right for Sunday to sub on a Sunday.
It is, in fact, only right for a Sunday to sub on a Sunday. Does this mean that you need to change your name from A Sunday to Prime Sunday now? Or Sunday Prime or something? But the menu isn't part of the tile set? No. Like, the UI is not part of the tile set. The UI is just the UI. And the UI in Classic and Premium is going to be identical. The literal only difference between Premium and Classic is one comes with pixels and the other comes with ASCII. One comes with music and the other comes with like Tarn's original guitar loop. That's the only difference. Yeah, it's like buying an official graphics pack with music. So it's $30, so you're spending $10 on music and $20 on pixels. Yes. Yako. It will also have mouse support. It will also have the tutorial, and the old UI is going away. The thing that surprises me, Nyako, is that I'm still clarifying this. Like, I've been of the opinion for a while that they've communicated this really well, but YouTube is proving time and time again that they clearly didn't. Because I'm still, like, clarifying it to people. Let's go to historical maps, and let's find that spot that I've been fascinated by. Where is it? This thing. Okay, so it was like a hunted mountain range originally. That's probably why that Necromancer had so much luck. In the year 10, there was several different little fortresses here. What's the faction view? I know there's a button to hit that. Civs. There it is. Why is that not doing nothing? There it is. Oh, I see. Duh. So it's the Cradled Corridors and the Rough Salve are the two dwarven civs that are in this spot. There's the Rough Salve up here and the Cradled Corridors. And at some point, one of them goes evil. Is there another faction in there? Okay, so that was pretty quick, actually. kind of overlapped. Impervious Thief. That's gotta be the Goblin Civ there. So the Impervious Thief seems to have, like, corrupted them. No, we're not doing a new playthrough. Read the title. I think actually your small tutorial videos got you into DF and you and Cell. And you moved to CUD and it was a downward spiral from there. I mean, once you've put the time into learning one weirdly obtuse game like this, you can do more. No, we're literally just gonna read some legends about this world. I'm not gonna play it all. I might play some adventures, but I doubt it. Probably just gonna read legends today. Today's gonna be a pretty short stream, probably. But short by my definition of short. I played enough RimWorld that I never need to play RimWorld again. And I never will play RimWorld again. There's nothing left in that game for me. Interesting. They form kind of a heart shape. There's like 3 factions here. It's quite literally a heart shape. Look at that. It's over here. Saga Furry Sagaga Furry Sternus and the growths of infamy. So I guess the growths of infamy are a elven group here. And then there's a Cobalt group underneath them. The Dwarven group. So there's like 3 Dwarven civs right here. Just watching as the world burns. Yeah, well, just... And then by year 80, there was this Necromancer tower. So it's like between 70 and 80, something happens here. Melbillardis. Please tell me that that's a Cobalt tower. I doubt it, but... Must pet the kobolds. Must help the kobolds steal all the things. You saw a kobold civ named Bingus? Yep, that happens. The thing, like, the thing about the kobold language is it's just like a random collection of syllables, and that's it. It's basically Finnish, except it changes based on the context. It's a contextual language of babbling, where they just like point at things and assign syllables to the thing, and that's just it. You need a D at the end of that, animal? What year does... Okay, so basically by, like, in the first 150 years, 3 little dwarven civs spring up here, and then by year 80, there's a Necromancer tower, and then they start building these different little shrines, and then by year 140... the death begins, and then all of the dwarven fortresses here just one by one start to fall, a couple every year. Or a couple every decade, I guess. You should leave out offerings for them so that they can run off with their things. Kobolds only know how to run out and steal items. So you should leave items out so that they can steal them. So chat, I don't know if there's going to be a stream on Thursday this week, because I will be flying to Vegas on Thursday afternoon, and so I will need to leave here at like noon to get to my plane. So that there will either be a really short stream Thursday morning, or there won't be a stream on Thursday. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm staying with Hobo for a weekend. Yeah, and he's living in Vegas, so we're going to 2 concerts and going on a hike on the 3rd day. And then I fly back on the Monday. And it's just going to be a weekend getaway. Tell Hobo you said hi. I will do that. Unless you want to drive up to Vegas and hang out with us for a day, Sunday. Offer is open if you want. It's a bit of a distance, I think, from where you're at. Trying to familiarize yourself with DF again before the Steam release, and you're doing okay. But when you set up the manager rules, is there an easier way than to go in and set each up individually? You can just do it, and it can be a bit laborious. Are you talking about like conditions in the manager rules? Like when you say manager rules, are you referring to conditions? Wish it wasn't set to winter all the time. I guess I could turn this on, but that's a little finicky looking. You're in Ohio now? You're in the middle of a flyover state? I'll bet you the rent's cheaper in Ohio. Might be a fun spot as well. When did this tower form? Interesting. A little haunted spot and then suddenly, boop. Well, then I would say that you're winning then, Deadless. If you set up repeating rules for things, you end up with tons of extra garbage. I do not use conditions, honestly. I am not the person to talk to about conditions. Tekid is the person to talk to about conditions. Yeah, that's what I would say, is I'm not the person to talk to about conditions. As much as I love the idea of conditions, I manually do things. I'd much rather just, like, type in the order and do it. Joyous growth is what? Probably this scattering of elven civs, then? Gaze luxury of raking. I'm sorry, what? Also sounds like an elven civ. I'm really curious to see what this area of Legends looks like in Premium, because this is something we haven't seen yet, because it's never been in. For brewing and meals, that's all. Whenever I need alcohol, I literally just go to all my stills and just hit Q, and then F or B based on whether or not it's plants or fruits, and then just R, and just set up a repeating job until I have enough, and then I cancel the job, or until they cancel it because I run out of barrels. Massive Raven. Yeah, that's a good name. What is the Massive Raven? It's definitely an elven civ, right? Unless it's a human civ. Confederation of Lathering. That's a human civ. The Seal of Sneaking. I'm a Seal of Sneaking. Kobolds. The Daggers of Ruthlessness. I have... Joyous Growth. Who is the Massive Raven? That's such a cool name. Okay, that's Pluguguguglagus. Cool. Excellent. Perfect. Nailed it. Seriously, who is the Massive Raven? The plant icon. It's down here? These guys? Okay, yeah, it's an elven civ, the Massive Raven. That is a good name, though. That reminds me of an elven civ that attacked me once, ages ago. I had this, it's like this trench fort. It was just like a trench with like doors dug into the sides, and I had multiple entrances and bridges. It was a cool fort, but it got taken out by, it got destroyed because I was poking a Necromancer tower that was close by. Little did I know that Necromancer tower had enslaved the local elven population as well as the local goblin population, so I got attacked by an army of undead elves wielding steel weapons flying on undead giant ravens. Yeah, we died. We died very fast. They just like hovered over us and just like shot what's it called? Arrows at us, steel arrows, and just puckered the few dwarves that were out in the open full of holes, and then the rest just charged in with spears, riding on various large wildlife, combined with goblins and like necromancer experiments. That was a short fight. We died really quick. That's terrible. Are you kidding? It was glorious. The Kit Fox Discord is. There's various other unofficial Discords which we don't talk about here. But yes, the Kit Fox Discord is quite useful. This area like actually didn't have as much population growth as I thought it would. So currently things that we need to look up. We need to look up the cradle corridors and the gravel of pulleys around year 80. Cradled corridors, there it is. Olon Called Vault. It's the first name I'm going to look up. Olon Call Vault. Died in year 55. Became the king of the Cradled Corridors. Cradled Corridors held a foot race, and he took part. Ral Deathrings was the victor. Ral Deathrings, eh? I wonder what you went on to do with your life. In the year 34, they held another foot race as part of the Festival of Paddling. There were 9 competitors, including Olon. And Urvad Steelcrosses was the victor. The moistness of shooting was offered to Olon by Saigon Barpix. And in the year 47, the Cradled Corridors held a foot race as part of the Festival of Paddling. There were 10 competitors, including Olon, Rimtar, and the victor, and Rimtar, and Lantern was the victor. Then Olon and Erdim broke up after becoming lovers in what year? Oh, in year 1, they became lovers, and they broke up in year 52. And then in the year 52, Olon became obsessed with his own mortality and sought to extend his life by any means necessary, in being too vain to give in to death. And then they held a foot race in 53. Became friends with Rakas due to shared interest in music after a performance. And then he fought in the riddled assaults in defense of Crotongs, and was struck down by a tick fiend in Crotongs. The bodies of Olon and others were horribly mutilated by the impervious thief, Crotongs. Is it possible to save scum? What, in Dwarf Fort? I have a question. Can we just, like... Okay, I have a statement. Can we, as a society, get past the term save scum? Because the term save scum came from first-person shooters, where you would get into a situation where you didn't have enough ammo or you didn't have enough health to get through a thing. And you would quick save and quick load repeatedly in the exact same instance until you perfectly dodged every bullet and managed to kill everything. Save scumming was getting through an impossible situation by simply rapidly saving and creating a lot of saves. So Dwarf Fortress is built in such a way where there is no quick save and quick load, right? You can't just, like, save and load. But Premium has changed the way saves are structured so that there are different timelines, and you can put down basically, like, individual saves. And is reloading a save file possible? Yes. Is backing up save files and reloading at an earlier timeline possible? Also yes. Can we stop calling it save scumming? Because save scumming is an intrinsically negative thing. Is creating multiple timelines in DF possible? Yes. Is it encouraged? Sure. Is it fine and an acceptable thing to do? Absolutely. Why do we have to call it save scumming? Like, it makes it into such a negative thing, and I don't like that. If you want to see what different outcomes would be because you saved at a certain timeline, yeah. I have like 50 backups of long death now. I have like, it's like something like 12 gigabytes of long death saves. Which is getting a little nuts, I should note. But how's things? Infinity. But anyway, I think that we need to look up whoever this tick monster was. Actually, let's just look up Crotongs. So Crotongs was a Hillix. Exactly, H2O. In a single-player game, especially in a game where there's no, like, high score at the end, saving and reloading shouldn't be something that we... It shouldn't be something that we penalize people for. And, you know, like, I think the RimWorld community does that a lot because of the focus on permadeath. It's like, there is no permadeath in Dwarf Fortress. You can lose a fortress, and the fortress can die, but permadeath basically incites that you would need to cease playing, or the world would cease to exist in some way if you fail. And because there is no failure state in Dwarf Fortress, nothing can really die. Also, they got attacked by a dragon? Hold up. So in the year 2, the Dyke of Grasp and of the Gravel of Pulleys founded Crotongs. The dwarf Feb Lightbust, giggity, became a naturalist in Crotongs. The dwarf Fated One, who becomes a Fated One, I guess, decided to become a mercenary operating out of Crotongs. Okay. The dwarf Lolar, okay, became a prophet. And another dwarf settled here, a future corrupted stalker. Quick stain to vaulting. Melbill. I really hope that Premium doesn't, like, change their name permanently in past timelines when their name changes in the future. In the early spring of 25, the dragon Nagiz Wormthids attacked the Dyke of Grasp at Crotongs and was struck down by a dwarf. Okay. But it's the year 52, so what happens in the year 52? Let's shut my camera off for a second here. In the early winter of 55, the goblin Utis Hatespring settled in Croton. Okay, hold up. Where was this fight? The Impervious Thief, there we go. The Impervious Thief attacked the Dyke of Grasp at the Gravel of Pulleys. It's interesting that a goblin settled here right before. I wonder if this dwarf, or if this goblin, Utis Hate Spasms, was a spy. It kind of seems like it. Because right after, in the early winter, late winter, the Impervious Thief attacked the Dyke of Grasp in the Gravel of Pulleys at Crotongs, and the goblin Ispu Creep Dungeon led the attack. And the defenders were led by the dwarf Logum. It seems like a lot of dwarves were struck down, including the current king at the time. Mob Circled was looted. Interesting. A dwarf looted it. Seems like a lot of people were struck down in 55. They then took many bodies and made many gruesome structures. Gruesome structures. My favorite band is Whipknots. Whipknot. It's my favorite Slipknot cover band. Oh, interesting. Dwarves were abducted as well. Okay, so many dwarves were added to a grisly mound. Basically, they piled the bodies. But a Plains Titan then attacked this place afterwards. So it's been settled in by goblins. But it's like just getting attacked by other things even afterwards. It's like Cyclops attacked them, a Plains Titan attacked them. Vine Straps, the coastal mites, fought with the dwarf. With the dwarf, and while defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. Alright, so it goes on to continue. But the thing that I'm real curious about is this dragon that was struck down in the early days. Because a rock also attacked them, but the dragon Warm-Heated. N-G-A-N-I-Z. Oh, I see. Warmth-Heated, not Warm-Heated. It's like, why am I not finding it? Warmth-Heated. What a sad dragon. It was one of the only ones of his kind, and he was associated with wealth and fire. Settled in Sprinkled Cracked, became an enemy of the Papers of Wood, became an enemy of the Rough Salve. A large honey yellow barrel was stolen from Held Pick by the dragon during the rampage of the dragon Warm-Theated in Held Pick, and brought it to his lair. Became an enemy of a few more people. Attacked an elf and struck them down. Devoured the elf. And then was struck down by the dwarf Kib Joyous Bridged in Sprinkle Cracked. Or struck down the dwarf, sorry. I'm so sad that the dwarf that struck down this dragon didn't become legendary. It really, Papers of Wood does sound like something that would that's like, you name your place the Papers of Wood, it's the flammable of flammability. Of course you're gonna get attacked by a dragon. I'll be back in 1 second. Just want to see what this snow's doing. It stopped. It looks like it's just raining again. I have these spooky ghost cookies my mom gave me. Come on, baby, light my fire. Yep. What year is the world in? 310? 312, actually, or 311 or something. But yeah, what a sad dragon. Attacks some elves, devours them, destroys them, attacks dwarves, struck down. Smack. Well, that's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping I would get the name of that dwarf, but Crotongs. Let's look up the goblin that led the attack against these dwarves. Because the goblin Isbu Creep Dungeon led the attack. Isbu Creep Dungeon. Find out about you. Seems like he died in 55 too. Even though he led the attack. Was the master of the impervious thief. Oh, interesting. So literally was running this goblin civ, right? Was a goblin one of the first of his kind? Made a journey to the depths of the world and tamed cave crocodiles in the depths of the world. Upon returning to Inkbell, held a foot race in town cruise as part of the gloved celebration. There were 7 competitors, including the goblin Ispu, fated one. The goblin fated one. Nagom slap seduced. The brass shields was the victor. He made a journey to the depths of the world once again and tamed blind cave bears in the depth of the world, and then returned to Inkbell. Inkbell seems to be this goblin's home. The impervious thief created the position of Chancellor as a matter of course, and then the impervious thief created the position of High Chamberlain as a matter of course. And then Ispu of the impervious thief created the position of Chief Advisor. And then found a lover named Aspagus. Menace doubling. Doubling? You're jealous of the cookies? They're pretty good. My tongue's a little numb, so I think my blood sugar's a little on the low side, so eat some sugar cookies and that should sort it. Got married, actually, after, wait, hold on. So has a lover and then got married to somebody else. Checks out. After making another journey to the depth of the world, and tamed giant olms, returned to Inkbell, and then found another lover, got married to that new lover, made a journey to the depths of the world once again, and tamed cave dragons. This is one hell of a goblin. Lived through some epic times, you know? traveling from Inkbell down through some caves and back up repeatedly. You know, it's blind cave bears, cave dragons. And then Razor Zenith was claimed from afar. So for those of you just looking at this right now, I'm going to open up the PAX video real quick. Because they put out this, right? This was a stream that they did at PAX. And as part of this, they actually looked at Legends a little bit. This is what Legends is going to look like in Classic to a degree. Everything is going to be in multiple tabs, and we're going to have hyperlinks. So right now, like, I look at this and I go, Cave Dragons from the depths of the world. Where was that? Where is Inkbell? I'd be able to just click on those and get tabs. So instead of having to go, like, remember names and search things out separately, it's going to be so much nicer. That Legends viewer would show you there? Oh, yeah, no, totally. I don't like using Legends viewer because I find it a little bloaty, but there's always going to be some interesting little tidbits that it has, which is cool. I like that it exists. So this person really likes to bring some wild, weird animals in columns. Well, this goblin certainly seems to like going down into the basement of the world, in the deep caverns outside of where they live, and tame things. It's the fact that this goblin is taming cave dragons is really cool, though. Returns to Inkbell and then claimed at Razor Zenith from afar. The Impervious Thief then created the position of Master of Beasts, which I'm pretty sure is just made for this goblin. The dwarf Geshud, as the dwarf beast hunter Stoltzu of the Impervious Thief, formed a false friendship with Ispu in order to extract information. I want to know what Geshud Boltcott is up to after this. That's my next person to look up, this dwarf. And then I went on to attack the Dyke of Grass with the Gravel of Pulleys at Crotongs. And this goblin led the attack. I wonder if they brought any of their cave dragons along with the attack. Logum led the defense, and they fought. But you died in 55. Oh, I see. There you go. The dwarf Sodel Oiled Roots attacked Ispu, and Ispu is struck down by the dwarf Sodel Oiled Roots and Crotongs. So even though the fight was a success, this goblin ceased to be the master of this faction. So I want to look up Geshud, but I also want to look up the Impervious Thief real quick. I want to know who took over for the job. But let's look up Geshud first. I should have looked up. What was the last name of that character? Hold up. The Master of the Impervious Thief, which was Ispu. Became the master after you. Ago Nightmare Bulbs became the master of the Impervious Thief afterwards. Hey, Rock Cat, what's up? In the winter, Cave Columbus, yes, pretty much. So they pillaged after they pillaged Crotongs after they attacked it. But what was the name? Creep Dungeon. Okay, so Creep Dungeon. There you are. So Creep Dungeon was Bolt Cot. There you are. Bolted Cot. What a name. Bolted Cot. This was the dwarf who corrupted that goblin. The goblin leader. He was the youngest, he was born in 36, and he was the youngest son of Lorben Cannon Paddled and Logum Combine Quakes, and settled in Boatscunning. Boatscunning. Settled in boat, I read that as like bolt scumming. I was like, bolt scumming? What? The bolts are cunning. When is that trip to Vegas? This coming weekend. So I leave on, it's like Labor Day. So I fly down 10th at like, and I land at like 9 p.m. and I fly out on the 14th. And then on the 17th, we're going to have Tarn on the stream again to talk about dwarves. Just passing by, have a nice stream. You'll likely jump off soon. Gotcha. We're just reading some legends today. Like I'm not actually planning on playing much. Just planning on reading legends for like 2-3 hours, and today is very much an off day, so it's not going to be the normal stream, long schedule or anything. They became a scout. Okay, so in the year 49, he fooled the cradled corridors into believing he was the peddler niche strengthened guilds in the cradled corridors, and visited urn sabers to gather information. Interesting. Are you getting married while living under... Wow, okay. When did you become lovers? Okay, so you became lovers before you started impersonating people. So Geshud and Amos Wheelsect became lovers in the year 49, and then in the year 50 got married. Settled in Crotongs later, and then again settled in Urn Whips. Gotta earn those whips. Geshud then fooled the Impervious Thief into believing he was the Beast Hunter Sozu Wraithhage in the Impervious Thief, visited Inkbell to gather information, and the Beast Hunter Stozu Wraithhage of the Impervious Thief formed a false friendship with the Goblin Creep Dungeon in order to extract information in Inkbell. Oh, and then divorce Amos Wheelsect, so I guess it wasn't working. And somehow managed to become a Baron. I wonder if, were your parents? Didn't look like it. But became a Baron of the Gravel of Pulleys, and probably because of that, then settled in Voice Vessels. Interesting. Became lovers with a dwarf named Urvad Trust Machines, who must have became a fetid one at some point, and at some point in their future gets the name The Mute. That's an interesting title. In the year 73, fought in the Crazed Assaults in defense of, or an assault on Vault Squeezed. So going after goblins, I assume. Secret Sunday stream? It's hardly secret. It would be secret if I was on a different channel. But surprise, more like. Hey, Akre, what's up? Geshud fought in the Brittle of Strife on the Sienna Plain, and Geshud and Zephon Tombsink cemented a bond of friendship amidst the horror of combat. And in the late spring of 88, Geshud became a member of the Sect of Charcoal, broke up with Einod, and became lovers with Avuz, and then got married to Avuz after getting divorced. In the year 108, the Heavy Brooks attacked the basement of Martyring, at Voice Vessels, where this dwarf was living, and the defenders were led by Geshud. Geshud fought in the attack of Tusks in defense of Voice Vessels, and their upper leg was ripped by the dwarf Fated One Lightas Silvery practices in the Roasted Oil of Theater. So I'm really curious about that person who had the title The Mute, and what gave them that title and how they became a Fated One. Where were you? Moist Vessel, not Voice Vessel, yeah. There you are. The year 57. Urvad trust machines. He's actually together with Urvad from the year 57 to the year 72, so that's actually a relatively long period of time. But Urvad must come to a poor end at some point, so trust machines. That's a good name. Trust machine. Oop. Born in the year 32. So Urvad Trust Machines, a member of the Gleeful Creed, had several different lovers, became a miller and rim-ticked, milling various things into powders. Had several lovers. Became lovers with Geshud in 57. After becoming lovers with Geshud Boltcott, in the early autumn of 62, the Mysteries of Grains was authored by Urvad. So Urvad's writing books after a nightmare. Interesting. So this miller, Urvad, had a nightmare and then authored a book in the year 62. This is while they're still together with that dwarf we were just reading about. Was created, and then it was stored in the Library of Truths. And then became the Baroness in the year 67. You guys can laugh about this one. And then moved in the year 67 and settled in a place called Nutfenced. And then was broken up by Geshud. So I wonder if they lose the ranking of Baroness. You're reading the Silmarillion and then reading this is similar to that. So many names of people and places. That's what a lot of this is. It's just looking at names of people and places, and eventually you start to recognize things. I mean, it's difficult to parse the information, but you can get quite a lot out of it. How you been though, Dave? Those things. So it looks like after settling in Nutfence and getting dumped, probably because they moved away, right? Like this person moved away and then broke it off with the I guess recently appointed Baron that they were together with. Got together with somebody named Nil. Then Urvad fought in the crazed assaults on Volt Squeezed. And then Nil and them broke up. In 74, they fought in another assault. Found another lover. Urvad then fought in multiple different assaults. And then, unfortunately, in the defense of Nutfenced in the year 83, Urvad was then struck down by a goblin in Nutfenced. And then in the same year, in the same assault, Urvad was brought back to life from the dead by the Dwarf Necromancer Nobas Colbeasts as a fated one. Feted one? Feted one? In the year 83 in Nutfenced, and then obviously got dumped by their lover shortly after. That's kind of funny. Hold on. Became lovers in 70... Hold on a second. So Urvad and Soxul Labor Gems became lovers in 76. This dwarf was killed in 83 and then brought back to life the same year. But in 85, so 2 years after this dwarf was turned into a zombie, they broke up with their lover. Hold on a second. So are you telling me that you were still together with that dwarf for 2 years as a zombie? Do you think the dwarf noticed? Well, you were always cold to the touch. You're a little rotty. You should shower. You smell. You'll pop in again later. You thought you'd come in and watch for 10 to 15 minutes while those two twins fall asleep. Well, gotcha. Cheers. I have no idea how long I'm going to be on today. Necrophilia lives. Is it necrophilia if they're undead, though? I mean, like, sort of serious question there. Does that count as necrophilia, or is that more like zombiephilia? Like, there's got to be, like, a different word for that. I mean, if they're walking around and can communicate, does it still count? Also, I have a question. If that's necrophilia, then what is that scene in Ghostbusters when the zombie gives him or not the zombie, when the ghost gives him a blowjob? What is that? Is that apparition of file or something? I don't even. Ectophilia? You got to get that ectoplasm all over yourself so you can clean it off after, right? That ecto discharge. It's vile. Anyway. It's just, I need these samples. you just... I need to rewatch the first Ghostbusters. It's been too long. You need Egon to just, like, scrape it off of you for the samples for later, right? Anyways, where was I? Right, Irvad and Nil broke up after he became, I completely lost my spot. Fuck. Authored a book, yep. Fought in a crazy assault, yep. Where was the point where you were brought back to life? Right, so here's where you were brought back to life. And then proceeded to just fight in a whole bunch of assaults. And then I think we're going to read about this Necromancer. God, you just went around fighting in combats and beating the shit out of elves. It looks like the whatever group this zombie was in, Irvad here, the Mute, they were fighting against a lot of elves because every single thing that I'm seeing them killing here is just elves. Struck down the elf fate zombie. I guess they were brought back as zombie after they struck them down. Struck down a human damned corpse. Holy shit. 13 notable kills and 28 other kills. The World of Shades. The Dwarf Fated One. That's a good title that dwarf got once they became undead. In the year 298, the Goblin Pig Ghoul Smetsu seduced faked as the Goblin mercenary formed a false friendship with Irvad in order to extract information. And Tombs author. Well, still alive and well, this zombie. So let's scroll back up and go to the year 83. Coal Beasts is the name of the Dwarven Necromancer that brought this character to life. But scrolling up and rereading bits. If you read the Silmarillion and the books, and then you will understand more about the changes from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White and other things. I read most of the Silmarillion, or rather, I read most of it out loud back and forth with my older sister. We would just take turns reading. It was interesting. I think I actually like the Silmarillion more than Lord of the Rings to a degree, which also makes me sad because it would not ever make for like a good TV show or a movie or anything. I feel like it would be absolutely horrible at that, but I mean, it's certainly a interesting kind of set dressing for the rest of that series of books. Set dressing? Yep. Or salad dressing, whatever you prefer. Depends on how well dressed you like your salad, I guess. But if we take a real quick look at this, this dwarf had a pretty normal early life. In the year 6, well, initially they were one of the first of their kind, but in the year 6, they were probably like in their 50s, I would guess. Became a mercenary operating in filed rope. Found love in the year 7 to a dwarf named Zasset, and then settled in Ringflies and became the mayor of the full rope in Ringflies, I would assume. Broke up with their lover a few years later, and then found a new lover and became obsessed in the year 12 with their own mortality and sought to extend their life by any means necessary as the mayor. Began worshipping Ibrook. Chat, I need you guys to do me a favor. Write down the word coal beasts in case I forget it. So somebody type Moma's coal beasts. I want to look up this god real quick. So this god that they started worshiping was Ibrook. I-B-R-U-K. 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 Ibrook. You're a god. Dwarven god, I'm assuming. Of the cradled corridors, most often takes most often depicted as a male dwarf and is associated with death. That makes sense. I mean, of course. Interesting. Fatal Phantoms was created by Ibrook? That many years after? What's Fatal Phantoms? So the god Ibrook made something called Fatal Phantoms. Okay. In the year 14, Ibrook created Fatal Phantoms. It's an Allanite slab. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality, and it reads The Secrets of Life and Death. And of course, interesting. So actually, this god has a direct hand in the creation of this necromancer. We've found patient 0 for necromancy in this world in the year 14. Dwarf Necromancer Moses Colbeast learned the secret of life and death from Fatal Phantoms. And then Fatal Phantoms was stored in Tombs Author. All right, so let's go back to Colbeast then. Literally number 0. So began worshipping Ibrook in the year 14, and the Fatal Phantoms was acquired from Ibrook. So basically just like prayed to the god of death. It was like, give me the secrets of eternal life, and then was able to get it. Got married shortly after learning the secrets of life and death. So in the year 14, learned the secrets. In the year 16, got married, got divorced a few years later. And then Dodok Craftsky became infatuated with Moses. You don't see that very often. Momas and Zasset became lovers, even though Dodok is infatuated. Momas got married to Zasset, claimed Blade Roads from afar, which is an artifact, found another lover named Nish Told Cave. I told you there was a cave. The Rough Salve held a foot race, and Moses was the victor. Began to arouse general suspicion in ringflies after appearing to not age, and fled to the Desert of Portent, which is that weird, you know, that area when I was doing World Gen, that area that had like the kind of like the mountain range with like the haunted thing in the middle. That's the Desert of Portent. Fled to the Desert of Portent and became the master of the heavy books. Okay, I'm assuming that's the evil faction, but the master of the heavy books. We're evil and we worship the heavy books. Foot races are very popular in Dwarf Fortress. One of my favorite retired demons things, Pilot, is demons have this habit of just like enslaving entire goblin races, right? And then they'll just like go travel and go from like fortress to fortress and city to city and compete in tournaments, like wrestling tournaments, sprinting tournaments, item throwing tournaments, like various like races and stuff. And they tend to win them all. And I just imagined it kind of like Dragon Ball Z, except in Dwarf Fortress, where it's just the randomly generated demons instead of like aliens and like weird masters of different martial arts. So instead of being like various like random martial arts masters and then like aliens and stuff all competing in a big tournament, it's just like the legendary fighters and demigods and then just like random ass demons. Also, hey Neil, how's things, man? So he seems to be spreading his power now that he's fled to the Desert of Portent and become the master of heavy books and settled in Tombs Author. Moses, the Dwarf Necromancer, Moses taught the Dwarf Necromancer Atir Umbral worked the secrets of life and death, so there's now a second one of them, and became the master of the Dwarf Necromancer Atir. Fatal Phantoms was stored there, so the tomb, or the slab with the secrets of life and death. They recruit them at Demons. The Dwarf Necromancer Atir metalworked, wait, what? The Dwarf Necromancer Atir Umbral worked attempted to corrupt their master in order to have someone act on plans and schemes in Tombsor. So hold on a second. You move into a Necromancer tower, and the head Necromancer teaches you the secrets of life and death, and then you immediately try to corrupt him to do your bidding? Anyway, the Dwarf Necromancer Atir Umbral worked met with Moses, and completely misreading the situation, made a threat, And Moses valued the law and refused. So threatened him with his life, and the guy is just like, so imagine, chat, POV, you're a teacher, and you teach your student how to, like, raise undead zombies. And then, like, a couple years later, your student's just like, I'm in charge now, and you go, no. And that's basically how this went. The Mysteries of the Dwarf was authored by Moses. I mean, this is incredibly Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is an incredibly generic thing that I could imagine a proc-gen system generating. The human-fated one, Amek Carl saved. Portentous dive... Hi, Ryan. How are you? The human-fated one was brought back from the dead. Okay, so they're starting to bring things back from the dead. Did they actually go on a siege? No, it doesn't look like it. So this whole list here, all in 81, are characters being brought back from the dead. These fated ones are all like mostly humans from the looks of things. Yeah, human, dwarf, human, dwarf, 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 dwarf. Imagine having the title Days, Swamp Pranks, The Blockaded Pregnancy of Shadow. How you doing, Ryan? How's things, man? So they're guards from hell for infinite losers? Wait, what? What, the demons? I don't know if I'd say they're infinite losers. Okay, so at this point, they're just straight up building an army in 83, which is kind of funny, because between the year 70 and the year 80, like an entire dwarven civ just goes kaput and is destroyed. And I think it's just because of all of these zombies that they're raising. It's been a long time since I've watched Dragon Ball, so if I don't catch Dragon Ball references immediately, I apologize. Features trucks. Are you watching racing? That's some. Those are some big trucks. Introduction to the Tower. Yep, definitely starting to author books. Looks like they're attacking elves now and raising elves from the dead. That raising of the undead army would coincide with the entire death of the Dwarven Civ. I mean, it's in the right era, in the right year. All right, I want to know more about this chipmunk woman. In the year 96, the body of a chipmunk woman, Salsu Craze Trails, was animated. They have a zombie chipmunk lady. Cheers, year. We'll see you when we see you. If you make it back when the stream's still up. They're also raising kobolds. The kobold fated one, Slaguthafalubar, Homeweatherer, the Deviant, was brought back from the dead. Oh, that's funny. In Fed's shadow, I would not want to live in the shadow of the Feds, chat. Who in their right mind would want to live in the shadow of the Feds? They have big trucks and little trucks? Do they have daddy trucks and baby trucks? You want to know more about this chipmunk woman? Hey, man. Squirrel Girl has, like, destroyed my brain. Ugh, God, I'm tired. Daylight savings was a mistake. With squirrels. All right, so I'm assuming that the entirety of this person's history from here on forward is just going to be rezzing bodies. And I'm pretty much correct. Like, look at all of Bolt's eyes. Man, he's not even just resurrecting, like, undead creatures. This Necromancer, by the end of it, is resurrecting undead, Necromancer experiments. Before the invention of fires, so literally never, is what you're saying? What was the name of that squirrel person? I would disagree. I would say that daylight savings made sense before the access to electricity was, like, everywhere. What's up, King of the Nerds? Where'd that chipmunk lady go? Introduction to the tower. Was it Craze Trails? As you can tell, I have like the memory of a goldfish when it comes to this stuff. Wow. What a sad tale. Settled in the Forest of Wines. Settled in Ragsheen, became an animal caretaker in Ragsheen, gave up being an animal caretaker to become a dancer in Ragsheen. Of course, the squirrel would be a dancer. Or the chipmunk lady would be a dancer. Her right paw was smashed by a forest titan. Oh no. Kovost spray-packed. And then was struck down by the forest titan. And then was brought back to life by a necromancer in the year 96. What was Kovost? The Cyclopean Roughness was a forest titan. It was the only one of its kind, and it was a huge humanoid composed of water. It had a pair of squat antennae. It moved deliberately. Beware its webs. Depends on where you live, but whether or not AC is something that you desperately need. Water with webs. Yeah. You've heard of the internet. Well, now you've heard of the water net. Like, just balance changes? I don't know any specifics, really, outside of, like, some jobs are apparently moving around, some names are... Please greet you and make you feel good? No. Like, some jobs are moving around, some tasks are being renamed, certain workshops are being changed. I mean, like, I haven't played the game, so I don't know. But, like, I mean, we do know that there's a lot of bugs that are getting fixed. So.
Nuclear vessels.
I know that, like, trading is going to be almost entirely changing. The way items are priced is changing. I'm trying to think. A lot of bugs are getting fixed. I mean, it's a really big patch, right? You have to think about it that way. It's a really big patch. Dwarf Fortress Steam release is the thing that you're most excited for this year? Yeah, same. Cosmic King? Yep, same. I'll say King of the Knolls. Trading was a nightmare? Well, I mean, trading is fine. The problem with trading in Dwarf Fortress is just that there's, like, no logic to it. Can cats get drunk and die again? If you go back to a version of the game from 2016, then they can. Is there a full feature log for the upcoming patch? If there was, I would have made a video about it already. Also, Bay 12 is notorious for not doing, like, full patch notes. So, they do, like, highlights, generally. Well, alright, so... let's go look up something real quick. Let's go back to the maps. Okay, so Mill Billards. Tomb of Rags, the Tome of Shadow. Okay, come. Unless I'm reading the wrong one. Certainly was some effective viral marketing. I just wish people would realize and remember that it's a very old thing from the game. Why would that make you laugh? That would be really sad, Toro. Like, genuinely, that would be quite depressing. What was I doing? I completely lost the hold here. I guess I could look at the... Can't wait for the better searching options. I really hope that we are able to search by, like, gods and such. I just want to type in God. And just find all of the dwarven gods and all the human gods. Yeah, some of the names can be fun, like the puke. Stuxul, the carnivorous puke of caves. You want to fight against a carnivorous puke? If this isn't just like a ball of vomit beast, then I give up. It was the only one of its kind, a gigantic quadruped composed of snow. Okay, close enough. It has 3 long curving horns and it squirms and fidgets. It's associated with deformity and caverns. I mean, I don't know. How you doing, Aqua? How's thing? Sounds like an ooze. Not an ooze or a blob. I am disappointed. Well, I found Jared Leto, who is the only one of his kind, thank God. A towering sauropod with external ribs. Yeah, checks out. Has a pair of branching antennae and it is slavering. Its gold scales are round and set far apart. Beware its poisonous vapors. It's associated with water, torture, and caverns. Yep, seeing Jared Leto's face generally causes torture. The submerged mine. Hugo. Zomans. I'm gonna go get me another cookie. Be right back. It's like, if not news, then just like a name of a jelly from Dragon Quest. It's snowing outside again, by the way.
Heal, damn it!
No, you. There's a lot of Forgotten Beasts. I guess it is a large world. There's Titans. Hi, Brooke. You. You know, let's go back to Coal Beasts and look up that person who tried to corrupt Coal Beasts. That other Necromancer, the one that he trained. Was it literally...
Over here, he has a sword!
Sword isn't in the list? No. Was it not Coal Beasts? What was the name of that necromancer? I'm like, I swear I'm losing it. It was Coal Beasts? Then how come I can't find it now? Okay. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but... So what was the name of your student who tried to corrupt you right around the time you started writing books? There you are. Umbral worked. Atir. Umbral worked. Ooh, also is dead. Well, I mean, that's what you get for trying to corrupt your boss, I suppose. What a coal beast eats? Cold food. A necromancer was born. This dwarf was born in the year 52. Is the only son of Salon, Pillar Frost, and Kogan Wield Anguish. You know what you signed up for. Sham Manor Focus and Atir became childhood friends. Okay, so I made some friends as a kid. Found their first lover in the year 64. Became a shearer, shortly after finding a lover. And then stopped, and then... Did you ever get married? Stopped being a shearer, settled in page clashes, and then became a chief medical dwarf in the Spattered Walls. And then in the year 67 got married with Dodek. Became obsessed with their own mortality in the year 71 after becoming a chief medical dwarf in 65. Sought to extend his life by any means due to the envy of those that live on. The dwarf taught... Okay, and then the dwarf necromancer Moses Colby taught them the secrets of life and death in the year 72. Man, it only took him a year? That was quick. And then went and settled in Tombs Author, the tower. What's up, Remlusion? Also, yes, that the sound commands do in fact cost money. Atir began an apprenticeship under the dwarf necromancer Moses Colbeasts in an attempt to corrupt Obok. So basically just like went off corrupting people in order to have law enforcement look the other way in paged clashes. Atir met with Obok Wind Champion. While completely misreading the situation, Obok valued the law and refused. I'm starting to sense a pattern with this guy, because before trying to corrupt his boss here, which is behind my camera still, he tries several times. Tried to corrupt Dodek, their spouse, in order to have someone act on plots and schemes in Earnsabers, and Atir met with Dodek, and while completely misreading the situation, made a threat. And Dodek valued the law and refused, and didn't divorce him? That's surprising. Atir attempted to corrupt the dwarf Obok Wind Champion in order to have law enforcement look the other way in page clashes, met with Obok Wind Champion, and made a threat. Was very unsuccessful. In the Tower in the Age of Myth was authored by Atir, and then they proceeded to create it, and then attempted to corrupt their boss, which we know how that went. Same year, attempted to corrupt Obok Wind Champion again. And they continued to value the law and said no. Tried to corrupt them again a year later and still said no. Atir then taught Tulun Siripmoth the secrets of life and death, and Siripmoth became their apprentice. This guy just wants some plot. He's trying so hard. He's trying so hard and failing so far. Atir then attempted to corrupt Obok again in year 80. Made a threat again, and he continued to refuse. Stored their new book that they wrote, put it away, and then tried to corrupt them again, and it still failed. And then in the year 82, a second time, tried it a second time, and still failed. This is some very ineffective blackmailing. Atir then settled in Ape Theaters, and then settled later in Knife Crimson, and then settled again back in their tower, and then in Hammerslid, and then and then to somewhere named Heather Canyons, and then it tried to corrupt Obok Wind Champion again, made a threat, and he failed. We're just starting to get into Stockholm Syndrome here. In 83, tried again, and continued to fail. In the year 83, settled in Word Metal. Then from there, corrupted a childhood friend. Shem Manor focuses. In order to have someone act on plots and schemes, Atir met with Shem and made a threat, and Shem was too afraid to not comply, despite valuing the law. Finally got somebody. Tried to corrupt Obok again, and Obok's still like, fuck no. Why are you still trying to corrupt Obok? Also, Obok, why haven't you reported him to the cops? Shen then, this shin of threats was claimed by Atir from afar. Seems to have just kind of gone on tour in the year 91 and 92, settled in a bunch of different places, stayed in a lot of different places, and became a tavern keeper in Allied Sang. After settling in Allied Sang. Worked at the Staney Dates started working at the Staney Dates, I guess that's the tavern, in Allied Sang, and stopped working there 3 years later. So worked as a bartender for 3 years. Tried to corrupt their apprentice, Dwarven Necromancer Toulon, to have someone act on plots and schemes in Hammerslid. Atir met with the Dwarf Necromancer Toulon. While completely misreading the situation, he made flattering remarks and started hitting on him. And then Dwarf Necromancer says, "No, don't do that, teacher." Valued the law and refused. And despite feelings of vanity. Imagine being so bad at threatening people they think it's a joke. Yeah, they're like just. I don't know. This guy seems like a really bad necromancer. Anyway, then went and settled in Inkbell, and then did well gambling in Inkbell at the Vile Cake. The Vile Cake. Eh? That's a really good name for a gambling den in Inkwell. The Vile Cake. Go to the Vile Cake and test your luck, boys. Atir infected the human tainted thrall rope with a contagious ghoulish condition. I'm sorry, what? What's that mean? Oh, I see. I missed the line beforehand. Did well in gambling in Inkwell and the Vile Cake, and then gave up, like, trying to corrupt people, and instead is just gonna make their own minions. So infected the human rope equal drills with a contagious ghoulish condition. Contagious. Never seen the word contagious used as part of horrible experiments. In Echo Munched. Also, Echo Munched is a good name. So Atir here has some sort of place called Echo Munched, which is where they are performing their experiments. Chat, look up Echo Munched, and I will go look up Echo Munched later because I'm kind of curious. Infected a bunch of other people with this contagious ghoulish condition, and then did well gambling again in the year 154 at the Vile Cake, and then performed even more horrible experiments and created even more tainted thralls out of dwarves and looks like humans and elves eventually. Continued performing horrible experiments basically for like the next 10 years or so. Even more horrible experiments. Yes, Echo Munched. Even more horrible experiments. These are all thralls that this character is making. The Dwarf Necromancer Nish Martyred Paddles formed a false friendship with Atir in order to extract information in Inkbell. So, after all of their failed impersonation and information gathering attempts, still get suckered into giving away information themselves. That is very amusing to me. It's just like constant failure. Constant failure. But then even with all this failure, like even with this dwarf's complete seemingly incapability of like corrupting somebody, they managed to get corrupted themselves. Guy's building an army and he's getting corrupted. This guy's really not good at social stuff. Really? Yeah, no, totally. He's just like, he's kind of like, you know, I don't know, millionaire philanthropist who's just like, I'm going to pay somebody to do this for me because I'm bad at the talking to people part. Anyway, after getting corrupted, he went and gambled again. And then Atir performed even more horrible experiments and created even more tainted thralls. Literally this, okay, then we're getting close to the end of this character's life, so let's finish this up. Performed horrible experiments, and then in the year 183, the Cyclops attacked the Aquamarine Earth, attacked our Necromancer here. Attacked Atir. The Cyclops attacked him and fought with him while defeated. The latter escaped unscathed, so he was able to get away. Did well in gambling in the year 187 in the Vile Cake. Made a fortune gambling in the Vile Cake. Did poorly gambling in the year 231. So basically just like developed a gambling addiction for like 80 years or something. Lost a fortune in 245 gambling at the Vile Cake. Made a fortune in 263 gambling at the Vile Cake. In 273, did poorly gambling at the Vile Cake. And then in 274, the Giantess Unlow dive judges the Key of Adventuring attacked Atir, and Atir's right hand was smashed by the Giantess dive judges at the Key of Adventuring and was struck down by the Giantess. So, tried to corrupt everybody, wanted to live forever, gambled for 100 years, got stepped on by Giant Lady. Yeah, this checks out. Frankly. You didn't pay up? Nope. That's some pretty strict, like, gambling funds enforcement. I mean, the last thing he did in gambling was he gambled poorly in 273 and then got crushed by a giant. I mean, like, seems about right, Ramlusion. Seems about right. So, Echo munched, and then also Vile... Actually, let's look up the Vile Cake first. Vile... Okay. Okay, so it's not a site. I want to know what the... But not. Vile Hollow. Uh-oh. Whoops. Mobby. This is one of the stories of all time. Who knows if it was death by Snoo Snoo. I mean, it was probably just death by unfortunate coincidence and bad timing, but... Which is usually the case. It's generally the case, I would say. Alright, actually, it might be a structure. Okay, so the Vile Cake is a tavern. God, that might be one of my favorite random names for a tavern I've ever seen. Considering not actually that much stuff happened here. The national menaces of the impervious thief constructed the Vile Cake in Inkbell. The dwarf Unib channeled room started working at the Vile Cake in Inkbell. The dwarf corrupted the stalker, did well gambling in the Vile Cake. And the goblin Stozu started working in Inkbell in the Vile Cake. Yeah. Taste the Vile Cake, yes, definitely. All right, so I was going to look up... Oh, jeez, why did I do that twice? Hitting escape too many times. Need to reload all the world's information every time. And then you're going back to bed. Alrighty, Stone. I mean, this is going to be a short stream. I'm thinking 4 hours. All right. Echo. Okay. I'm assuming it's a site, probably? It's a castle. That castle of Echo Munched. Until you need sleep from your diet. Honestly, I need more sleep. Pooped. Because I went to bed at 10:30 and then woke up at 6. I'm not too thrilled about that. Honestly, I'm not too thrilled about it. I had to say something I'm not thrilled about. It's the amount of sleep I didn't get last night. But you sleep well, Stone. All right, so this place that we've looked up here. Echo Munched was a castle, the Society of Shades of the Pattern Confederation constructed Echo Munched. Seems to be a place a lot of humans who become evil things live. Although I will say, in the late winter of the year 52, a kobold somehow managed to corrupt a human in order to have someone act on plots and schemes. And then the kobold Dupleris met with the human and made a threat, and the plan worked. All right. Drupliris. DL. Basically, drop. Well, okay. I'm very curious about this kobold. It's not very often you see a kobold that's capable of corrupting people. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, in order to corrupt something, you need to be able to speak, right? Kobolds can't communicate with anything other than kobolds, and even some kobolds can't communicate with kobolds. A fated one is a zombie made by a certain necromancer that we found earlier. But if a person is turned into a zombie later in life, it retroactively changes all of their previous legend stuff to their full title. So if a human is like doing human things and they have like this weird long zombie title, they're probably not a zombie at that point. He just made rude gestures. I want to know how a kobold convinces people to join him. Anyway, she was a kobold born in year 12, and she was the eldest daughter of Gelicus and Kegiphidius. Very accurate. And she became a trapper in Fed Shadow, and a member of Lobo Labber. Drupolis took up residence in Rosedark. I read that as Rose Dork initially, but in Rosedark, the angelic umbra of the Fellowship of Pumpkins. In Chain Rushes. I don't know why I didn't expect that to be pumpkins, but and became a member of the Glittery doctrine, and became the holy flicker of the Glittery doctrine. So this goblin, or not goblin, this lady kobold is a holy member of a religion in wherever Rose Dark the angelic umbra is. I'm gonna stand up. We still here? Assuming we are. No one understands that anyways? Yeah, well. I'm pretty sure that Latin isn't randomly generated based on context, though, which the Cobalt language is. Anyways, she moved out of a Rosendark, the angelic umbra of the Fellowship of Pumpkins. And then settled in Obscure Whispered. And attempted to corrupt a human in order to have a law enforcement look the other way. In Chain Rushes, Dupleris met with the human while completely misreading the situation, made a threat, and the human valued the law and refused. Same human, and they refused again. Tried again on the same human, and they refused again. Tried again. Tried to corrupt a different human in order to have someone act in plots and schemes in Echo Munched, and Dupulris met with the human Fated One, Fathri soaped true, and made a threat, and the plan worked. Literally just shows up with knife, goes... And 3/4 of the planet's population is goblins somehow. You don't know if this is going to be fun or fun. I mean, that'll be fine. Hey, Wild Peak, what's up? So Dupulris attempted to corrupt the human Eppo in order to have law enforcement look the other way. The made flattering remarks, and the human followed the law and refused, despite the trust of the human Fated One, Fathri Soptur, and the efforts of co-conspirators to further the plot. Interesting. In 57, they attempted, the human Fated One plotted to infiltrate the Fellowship of Pumpkins in order to prepare a coup under the influence of this Cobalt.
Just
Well,
here for some lurks.
Thank you for the 50th month. And the, what? Second resub of the day? Third resub of the day. Third resub of the day. The first notification of money in an hour. Appreciate you, man. Oh, no. And so after... So, like, this Cobalt was, like, slowly just, like, building up, like, this web of, like, conspiracy to, like, start acting on plots and becoming a supervillain, and then got smashed to pieces by a fucking Minotaur. Of course, the Minotaur's name was Sweethearts, the Feral Talon. Thanks for the $1, Darren. Appreciate you. Of course, its name is Sweethearts. Bet you that was a proud mom and dad, though. You know? Thanks for the train, chat.
Choo choo.
I want to know who the Fellowship of Pumpkins are, because apparently this person was a criminal in the Fellowship of Pumpkins. Also was the Glittery Doctrine's Holy Flicker, the year 49 to the year 67. We have to look that up. Or actually, let's look up the civilizations. Glittery. What was the Glittery Doctrine Holy Flicker? Glittery Doctrine is a human religion of the Everseeing dimension centered around the worship of Kular, the human god of the moon. Okay, so that Cobalt was a holy person of the human god of the moon. Seems like the vast majority of their holy people and members are all humans, though. How the heck did a Cobalt get in there? Not only that, but in, like, a position of, like, religious power. Huh. I'm mostly just seeing humans in here. I'm just wondering if there's any other Cobalts as part of this religion. Yeah, there it is. Oh, actually, I'll bet you this is why. So in the year 49, the Cobalt became a holy flicker. Last Groove, thanks for the $10. Cheers, dude. Thank you much. Chat, can I get a big round of beers for the $10? Oh, it's too early for beer here. Just drinking coffee. The human Gensesh. Gelslard became... Just looking to see if any other Cobalts made it in. The Warrior of Tombsor Tol Jokeses became a member. Hey, thanks for gifting a sub to Last Brew. Sunday, you've had a beer already? I might have a beer with the second game I'm planning on playing today. because I'm going to be playing 2 games today. We're playing this first, and then I'm going to play a game that actually has Twitch interaction. I'll show it to you real quick. That's like $2. It's called Wiki Arena. It's basically just like kind of a quiz game based on Wikipedia articles that you've never seen before. Looks fun. Are you feeling okay? No. I have not been okay in a very long time. Yeah, so so this entire religion seems to just get filled with either zombies or future zombies. And this religion also seems to have gotten into some sort of issue with the Society of Shades, persecuting the Glittery doctrine and Echomunch. Some sacred sites were desecrated. Neat. Thanks for gifting way too many subs, Animal? Calm down, man. Cheers. 1 month till DF release hype. I mean, Dwarf Fortress isn't out yet, man. Well, I mean, it is out. You could go play it right now if you want. But thank you, Animal. You are very kind. You are very, very, very kind. And to anybody who just got gifted a sub, congrats. Time to jump up and down and thank the something or another. What was I reading? I don't know. You just shut my brain off. Let's go look for a location to read about. What was the first 25 birds? Yes. Animal just did a really successful job of like making me completely forget what I was doing. Really wish it would just tell me the name of the tower. Let's go look up the Grave of Pulleys. The Curled Nightmare. Ooh. It's Goblin Civ, of course. The Watch Dungeon of Morass. Dromber. Cobalt Civ, of course. I love the idea of like a Cobalt successfully like corrupting somebody. That is very funny. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the second king of this faction. The first one died in the year 70, right? Became general. Olan Cobalt. So Olan Cobalt was the first. Okay, died in 55s, yes. Was horribly mutilated by a tick fiend in Krautongs. So if you died in the year 55, who was king after you died in the year 55? Year 55, Kodal Cyclone Mountain. Also, if anybody is feeling crazy, it would take about 5 subs or about $20 in bits, I think, to level up the train to the next level. But regardless, thank you very much for the surprise, ridiculous hype train. I appreciate you guys. Tulun Order Channel became king in the year 56. Oh, this is interesting. So in the year 56, so they got hit really heavily by the Impervious Thief, right? And a lot of dwarves died. Very large number of dwarves died. They then rejected an offer of peace from the Impervious Thief. You read on YouTube that there were dwarves? We're reading about humans and stuff. I found a Cobalt that successfully corrupted somebody in order to have law enforcement look the other way by making a threat. And I want to ask you, Clino, how the fuck does a Cobalt make a threat? Like, what do they do? I have a knife. Like, what exactly do they do that's threatening enough to corrupt a human? I don't even know what level the train's on anymore. Apparently level 6. Well then. Thank you very much for the, like I said, surprise out of nowhere hype train. And user, thank you very much for the 5-pack. And Shenryon, thanks for the penny. Thanks for keeping this show funded. I mean, it's been a weird week for me, being blunt. It's been a weird week. I don't think I've ever seen anybody use that emote before. Shenryon, hype peace. Peace out, dude. But yeah, I'm still shocked about that Cobalt. Still shocked.
Whoa, dude, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. That's fucking sick. Hell yeah. Woo!
Very much so, yes. Oh, dude, fuck yeah. I can't even see. Calm the fuck down, animal. Jesus, man. Are you giving Navy a run for his money? The hell's happening? What channel is this? Blind IRL, last I checked. Animal is definitely constructing additional subscribers. Tab totals 50. Yep. Anybody who isn't gifted a sub yet, congratulations, your dodge stat is too fucking high. Speaking of, I see one. Where'd you go? There you are. You're new here. You can have a sub. Here, have a sub. Because I hit my sub goal. All right, well, was it payday today, Animal, or something? But thank you very much for the ridiculous amount of support. You'll cherish this sub? I mean, it'll last until the day Dwarf Fortress releases. Which is true, it will. Actually, all of these subs will. Also, I just want to say shoutouts to the username Sensual Casserole, who Animal managed to catch in that massive sub bob, because they've been subbed before and have been around the stream for a bit, on and off, and that name is always funny to me. Always funny. Something about that's right up there with like sexy apple pie, which I saw once in a Twitch chat, and I was like, yes, that's proper naming for Twitch. Right, where was I? Something about incense burning? Oh, right, yes, they had a new king. Tulun Order Channel. Order Channel is a good name for a king because you have to channel all of those orders. Order Channel. Yeah, 4 weeks, 1 day, and 18 hours left. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. It's crazy. And enjoy that sub. And get Ganjavi. All right. Order channel? Sounds Odor? No, order, not odor. Odor is like, you know, when you don't shower. Order is when someone tells you to do a thing. This is the latter. Surprise stream on a Sunday. Hi, what's up, man? Onget, Dalb Planks, and Toulon have become childhood friends. Toulon and Ast, Standard Blunt, became friends, and Unib Combine Minds and Toulon became childhood friends. Toulon became an animal trader, and then, so this is the story of how a dwarf became a king, by the way. Married Erdim Arrow Jungle, and divorced Erdim Arrow Jungle, and Saigon Barpix became, Toulon and Saigon Barpix became lovers. Toulon married Saigon Barpix, and then divorced Saigon Barpix. Seems to like getting married and then divorcing. Gave up being an animal trader in order to become a butcher. Well, I mean, that's the natural way of things, right? After you're done training all the animals, you butcher them. And then Saigon became lovers with Toulon, and then he gave up being a butcher to just become a farmer. And then in the early autumn of 51, Toulon became a member of the Doctrine of Actions and gave up being a farmer to become a bowyer, and then became a member of the Guild of Doctrine. And then Toulon became the doyen of the Guild of Doctrine. And I'm just going to say this one more time because it's kind of obligatory. Would probably take about 5 gifted subs, maybe 6 to level it up one more time. But regardless, that's a fucking bananas hype train if you've done more than enough. Okay? Animal, I'll put you in timeout if you do more. Where was I? Became the doyen, whatever that is. And then Toulon ruled from the pilot. Thanks for the 5-pack and the 69 cents. Wild Pig. Bet? Bet indeed.
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
Truly giggity. Thank you very much for the train. You guys are very much appreciated. That's 64 gift subs and $13.39 in bits. That's not my all-time record, Hype Train. Level 16 was my all-time record. Maybe that's a new feature. Hey, Phoenix. That was when Navy went absolutely bananas. All right, everybody, I just want to say thank you for your absurd kindness. You got free Game Pass? Yeah, you get Game Pass for 3 months if you gift subs now. I have a code for Game Pass for 3 months. I have Game Pass Ultimate already. So, like, or rather PC Game Pass, not Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah, anyway, it's Game Pass Ultimate, and I can't redeem it. So, like, if you've never had Game Pass before, you can get Game Pass for 3 months. Which is actually, like, a really good deal. I'm just saying. Gifting 2 subs for Game Pass, that's pretty good. I think you have to either sub twice or sub to 2 channels or gift 2 subs to get it. Toot, indeed. All right, so he seems to have become lovers, gave up being an animal trainer in Umbra Sabers, and then became the doyen of the Guild of Doctrine. I'm assuming the Guild of Doctrine is a religion, and I'm assuming that's a religious title. Ruled from the fenced reigns of the Guild of Doctrine in Urn Sabers, and then constructed brass basements for the Spectral Doctrine, so made an artifact, and became king in 56. I guess it makes sense why this dwarf would become king, because they had some ruling experience in that religion. Became the king of the Cradled Corridors, broke up with their partner at the time. And then became lovers with a new person, and then they held a foot race as part of the Festival of Barricades. And competing were the dwarf Etur, Toulon, Cybrek, and Toulon was the victor. The Rough Salve held a foot race, and it looks like somebody named Vabok was the victor. Toulon and Eilod became lovers, and then they broke up the next year. Found another. This is very much a active like lover situation for this dwarf. The Rough Salve held a foot race, and somebody named Unib was the victor. More foot races, more foot races, more foot races. Got married to Rith. I'm so happy for them. The Gravel of Police held another foot race. Toulon fought in the Crazed Assaults in an assault on Vault Squeezed. Vault Squeezed being one of the corrupted locations that the Goblins took over, if I'm not mistaken. Toulon fought in the Battle of Strife in the Sienna Plain, and the Gravel of Police held a foot race and boat scunning as part of the Festival of Barricades. And there were 6 competitors, including Toulon, Godin, Squirt Channels. Don't ask anything about the Squirt Channels, chat. And Squirt Channels was, of course, the victor for obvious reasons. Over the next few years, there was many foot races, of which none that I'm seeing the king was the victor. Actually, yeah, no, king not very fast. Toulon divorced their partner of quite a few years, and then in the early spring of 103, the Gravel of Police held yet another foot race, and then found another lover. This is like the king of like loving and sport. Actually found a good friend who was an elf named Cece Emerald Fern, and they became friends after a shared interest in philosophy, after a scholarly lecture in urn sabers. Well, that's interesting. The Cradled Corridors held another foot race, and then Toulon fought in roasted assaults on Voiced Page, and then married somebody named Domas Guildfancy. They must have gilded the fancy. And then fought in the splattered sieges in defense of Umbersage. And then Right's Delight was acquired in Urn Sabers by Toulon as an heirloom of the jail of... Wait, hold on. As an heirloom of Athel blockaded budded family after the death of Zephon Tombsink. In 115, Toulon attacked the dwarf fated one, Coulette Book Cannon, the horrible jail of legends, and Toulon was struck down by the dwarf fated one. So it was eventually killed by... This is just like the happiness period of this faction, where they're just like loving getting married and participating in foot races, followed by like the uprising of the undead and the inevitable fall of this faction, and then eventually dies to a zombie. Kind of sad, but it makes sense. Kind of curious about the artifact that this guy made, though, before becoming king. Maybe it was after he became king. Eldest son. Actually, you know what? I'm just as curious. Right's Delight was the name of it. I'm gonna go take a real quick piss. I'll be right back. All right, I return. All right, so let's look up this artifact, because Right's Delight, which I'm assuming is a artifact. It's a steel crossbow. This is a steel crossbow. All craftsmanship was of the highest quality. On the item is an image of Stakkud Tower Ripe, the dwarf and dwarves in large rat bone. Stakkud Tower Ripe is surrounded by the dwarves. The artwork relates to the appointment of the dwarf Stakkud Tower Ripe to the position of militia commander of the Yawning Sack in the year 56. It was created in urn sabers by the dwarf Zephon Tombsink, okay, and was made a family heirloom by the dwarf Zephon Tombsink, and was acquired by the Umber Savers, the dwarf Tulun Ordensink, as an heirloom after the death of the dwarf Zephon Tombsink, and then was looted by the dwarf fated one Kulot Book Cannon, or Book Common, not Cannon, the Honorable Jail. Let's look up Kulot, the Honorable Jail, the Book Common. Hey Onyx, welcome back. Also, I need to up my sub goal. We're at 420. We're at 440, so I don't know. 4, 6, 7. Seems fair. But yeah, Animal, thanks for your ridiculous amount of generosity, as always. You're crazy. How many gift subs are you even at now? How many are you at? 711. Animal, you've gifted 711 subs now? Are Animals now sponsored by 7-Eleven? It's a fact. Or is now sponsoring 7-Eleven, maybe? My 7-Eleven purchases. Not that I've bought anything from a 7-Eleven since PAX East 2019, because I bought a banana. The Honorable Jail, the Legends of the Dwarf Fitted One. Born in year 11, she was born of unknown parentage. She was a poet in Tombs Notched. And found a lover and got married. And then The Birth of Profanity was authored by Colette. I think I found Excessive Profanity's autobiography in this video game. The Birth of Profanity. So, chat, I want you guys to do me a favor. Write down Book Common. I'm going to go look up The Birth of Profanity. I want to know what that is and what that book's about. I can't find it. No, Book Common was what I needed. It's Book of Proof. How come I can't find it? That's sad. Oh well, back to Book Common. Maybe it was lost. The Birth of Profanity. Maybe I forgot the bit. I have to type the name in identically. Well, I mean, I found The Birth of Pranks. Completely unrelated. A 5-page poem entitled The Birth of Prank, authored by some elf. And the work has no particular subject, and it only uses artful words and phrases. Selected with care. The poetry is masterful. All right, back to Book Common. Spent the whole weekend with a friend and you watched a lot of Stranger Things, ordered some unhealthy food on Friday and cooked together on Saturday, and today we had breakfast like the whole day. You also woke up at noon. Oh, that's great. I had breakfast at like 11:30 at night last night. I had scrambled eggs. It was great. Hey, Key Tracks, those things. Kylana. Hello. It was a great weekend. Sounds good. Yeah. We're doing a kind of short impromptu bonus stream because for those of you who maybe missed it or missed them or were unaware, on Mondays I used to, for ages now, I've been doing streams every Monday for a company called Hyperstrange, and those are on permanent hiatus now. So I am doing a bonus stream today. I was initially planning on streaming for like 3 to 4 hours, but we'll probably go somewhere around 4 to 5 if I were to guess. Which, you know, it's like a normal stream length for a normal human, but considering I normally stream like 16 hours, it seems a little short to me. But, you know, we'll be doing normal stream on Tuesdays, so. And I got things I got to do today. Is it snowing outside? It's been a mix of snow and rain all morning, so I like keep checking outside. Happy Saturday. Sunday, not Saturday. I misread that. Happy Sunday, Haley. Need to get your notifications from your Twitch phone? That's what Discord's good for. Discord's good for that. Honestly, like, I don't really get any notifications for Twitch. I just get them all from Discord. Oh, speaking of, if you guys missed it, there's very important Dwarf Fortress news today. That's what purring maggots look like. Clino, has anybody posted this on Reddit yet? By the way? Twitch notifications have always been fucky. And Animal went to Little Ham, which was very kind of Animal, so. What the fuck is that creature? It's a purring maggot, clearly. It's clearly a purring maggot. Oh, also, something that I should mention. Because Twitter is kind of on fire, I've decided to fuck around with Mastodon. So if anybody's on Mastodon and wants to follow me on Mastodon, that's where you can follow me on Mastodon. Anybody is on that strange platform of slightly different nightmarish nightmares. I don't like social media. Burn it all to the ground, I say. Anyway, where are we? So they were brought back from the dead in the year 91 by the Dwarf Necromancer Moses, Coal Beasts, the fated one, who we encountered earlier, and then settled in Dent Angels. Dent Angles? Dent Angles, yes. Became the boss of the Barricaded Rims. Damn. Look at you. That's how you learned how to streaming that? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the multi-posts are working. I can post on Mastodon and it posts the same thing to Twitter. And then I can post on Twitter and it posts the same thing to Mastodon. So I guess I've peaked in the multiverse. So that became the boss of the Barricaded Rims. I'm not gonna lie, I really want an animated version of that purring maggot just like bouncing. You know, like those blob emotes that are on Discord? I wanted to do that, but like a purring maggot, you know? That's something I really want. But unfortunately, I don't have an artist right now, and I won't have an artist until I can legally send money to Russia again, which I still can't. Still can't. Probably won't be able to for a decade. A sigh. But let's see, what else are we doing? Fought on the attack of clubs and assaulted. I settled a bond of friendship amidst the horror of combat, but you don't feel horror because you're dead. You have such cool names, though. The Roasted Oil. Like Roasted Oil. All right, so what year did that second king die? It was like 108, I think. Okay, so we got multiple new barons. Looking for another king or queen. Cheers, wave depletion. I mean, like, it's just going to be a mirror of my Twitter, mostly. Like, I don't... Unfortunately, I do still actually need Twitter for work. It's one of those kind of, like... That's where all of my networking is still. So it's just going to be a mirror of Twitter. But if you're trying to... yeah, it seems like a neat little... It seems like a useful platform, but, like, I need to rebuild a lot of networking in order for it to actually be a useful platform instead of just seeming like a neat platform, if that makes any sense, you know? Like, right now it just seems neat, but I need to rebuild a lot of networking in order for it to be useful. Story recital. I always wish that I could look up those story recitals and read what stories are being read in them. Yeah, next couple of years? You're giving it years? That's wild. For like 8 months. He's currently speedrunning, destroying a $44 billion. And I think he's going to have the world record. Yeah, no, it's tricky to maintain the audience. I mean, the other place people are going is this place. And honestly, this is the one that I think I like the most. But the thing is, it's much more set up as like a blog. It's way closer to a... how do I word this? It's way closer to a... like Tumblr replacement than Twitter. World's costliest shitpost. It truly is, yeah. It truly, truly is, but whatever. It's kind of hard to find people on co-host unless you know their handle. Yeah, that's kind of the point. I think I'm the one that I'm actually going to end up enjoy fucking around with this co-host, though. Which, anyway, but... I don't know. I have a feeling Mastodon's actually, the thing that I know I'm playing Dwarf Fortress and I shouldn't just be sitting here talking about social media. I'm really curious about Blue Sky. I want to know what that ends up being. It's probably going to be a trash fire in its own right. I'm weirdly curious about Jack's Blue Sky. Terrible movie, too. But, where did that king die? 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 The Baron... Oh, interesting. Near 115. The Heavy Books defeated the rival tour of the Cradle of Corridors. The Heavy Books defeated the full rope of the Cradle of Corridors. The Heavy Books defeated the virginal board of the Cradle of Corridors. The Heavy Books defeated the blanketed blanketed corridor of the Cradled Corridors. That's hard to say. They destroyed the Yawning Sack. And then a Dwarf Necromancer, Odom, became the Baron. Did they get a new king at this point, too? Outpost Liaison General, there seems to... Okay, there's the change of power. Dwarf Archchant became the king, the Cradle of Corridors. And then this is just like the crash and burn of it. Yeah, the Cradle of Corridors just falls after this. I mean, they still have, like, baronesses, but that's a very dead faction. They're probably just hiding in, like, a hillock somewhere. Let's look up Id Archchant. Hold on a second. Was born in 115 and became king at 12? Wow. I mean, the thing is, like, let Masto be for humans. The thing is, like, I don't really care about following governments and game studios and stuff like that, but I want to be able to easily follow developers, and I feel like Masto doesn't make that easy, which is kind of the point, right? So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it, like, replicates its usefulness. At the end of the day, if it doesn't replicate its usefulness, I delete all my social media and just stream. Because, like, I've been having this, like, some people who've been around my channel for a while will know that I quit Twitter for 2 years while streaming full time. From 2020 until beginning of this year. Basically, like, it was like March 2020, I basically quit Twitter and didn't come back to Twitter until mid 2022. It was like almost 2.5 years that I was gone from Twitter. And it's like, I know for a fact that I don't need Twitter to do my job. It just makes doing my job a lot easier. So for me, I know that I don't need any social media. It's nice. But like press releases work just fine. And there are other discovery platforms that exist that are perfectly legitimate for like finding games and whatnot. So it's like, I don't need it, but there is certain elements that it makes way easier, like way easier. Although I will say Reddit is infinitely more useful than Twitter ever was. So this dwarf was born in the year 115. This is the youngest king and the final king of the Cradled Corridors. Id and Lolar, when this king was 12, became lovers. Became a member of the Brave Faith in the year 128. Fled into the Sienna Plain, probably from the demon overlords. Became a member of the Unremarkable Vice. Settled in torture moils. That sounds like a lovely place. And Reg Newbusts became lovers and then broke up a few years later. Id and Zuspagus. Malign Nod. That's definitely a goblin name. Huh. Okay. Married a... So this person is... king. The final king of this faction, basically. Just was born, then fled into hiding, and then seems to have just moved into, like, goblin spaces. And existed. And got married and divorced a bunch of times. Never had any kids from the looks of things. And then, became lovers with some, and then in the year 261, murdered Nako Dreamstick in torture moils, divorced their last spouse, and then the year later died of old age. That's kind of crazy. And the person that they murdered was a dwarf. Nako Dreamstick was a dwarf. And their former spouse also died 3 years after they did. So their spouse must have been a character. I'm curious about who the Brave Faith is. A paper cut on my pointer finger, and it's making going through these menus fun. The Brave Faith was a dwarven religion of the Everseeing dimension centered around the worship of Fawcett, the dwarven goddess of war and death. Was a deity that occurs in the myth of the Gravel of Pulleys. Fawcett, not to be confused with Fawcett, was most often depicted as a female dwarf and associated with war and death. You have noticed an increase in active DF stream with more than 5 viewers in the last few days? Yeah, I think the reasoning for that is obvious as to why that's happening. Diamond. Number one giant waffle streamed the game a few days ago, but like everybody's derusting. Everybody's like reminding themselves how to play the game. I'm seeing a lot of people I've seen before in the past come back and playing the game actively, which is neat. I mean, of course, it's always cool to see people playing, but also for those of you who don't know, our friend Diamond here in chat is running a 24/7 countdown timer for Dwarf Fortress until release date. They can be found in the Dwarf Fortress directory. Giant Waffle's a good name. Dude's been streaming for, like, I actually checked. He's been a partner for 114 months. But like, if you guys haven't seen him, you should go watch Diamond's countdown timer because it's pretty good. Just saying. Can I just say that's a really good name? Prestige Dance the Most Barb. I need to know what Prestige Dance the Most Barb is. I'm sure that's an artifact. The most... Maybe it's a book? Oh, it's a bismuth slab. It also... Oh, wow. Really? Thussit created a slab of life and death. Most barb was created by Thussit. The most barb was acquired in post treasures by the dwarf Zuglor Glaze Chaos. Glaze Chaos. Glaze Chaos. Oh, no, Glaze Echoes, not Chaos. I can read. Glaze Echoes. Glaze Echoes learned the secrets of life and death and became a necromancer from the most barb. The most barb was stored in post treasures by the dwarf necromancer. Most barb was stolen by the zombie dragon Luto Glowflickered the Wealthy during the rampage of the dwarven Luto Glowflickered the Wealthy, and brought to labor mines in the sewers of Discovery. Was claimed by the zombie dragon and stored by the zombie dragon. All right, time to look up the zombie dragon. Speaking of zombie dragon, I was watching RNG the other night. RNG strategist who streams Dwarf Fort on the weekends, and he was just playing, chilling, and then just random fucking zombie dragon shows up. He wasn't in a haunted biome, wasn't particularly close to any like necromancer towers. Like it just a dragon just showed up and attacked. They just randomly had a zombie dragon show up out of fucking nowhere. It's the gamer equivalent of rewatching Game of Thrones before the season comes out. The thing that really amazes me, Wave Depletion, isn't people doing the gamer equivalent of like rewatching like Game of Thrones. That's not what surprises me. What surprises me are the people who've never played Dwarf Fortress who are like, I'm gonna learn Dwarf Fortress now. Like there was somebody on the subreddit who started like posted a live stream, like a YouTube live stream that was like an hour long, and they're like, I'm going to try and learn this game without a wiki and without any tutorials or help. And it, like barely made it to Embark and then Alt F4, but like left the thread up. And it's like, it's stuff like that where it's just like, and just like complained about the UI the whole time. It's just like, just wait like 3 weeks. Okay. Just wait like 3 weeks. You will thank yourself. I will thank you because I won't have to cringe at looking at you trying to learn the game. Just wait 3 weeks. You'll be okay. Unless you want to learn it now, in which case, it's the wiki. I don't care how much of a god gamer you think you are. You just started DF and you're mostly looking at it because it's like having a comparison from the new one to old one. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, like, if you're going to read the wiki and, like, try to learn the game, go ahead. But, like, I've seen a couple people on streams specifically playing the game for the first time being like, no, I'm not using the wiki. Don't backseat me. It's like, I've seen 2 of those already. It's like, what are you doing? Nobody's that good at video games, okay? I do know some people who learned this game without a wiki, but it's like, the numbers are very small. Anyway, so this zombie dragon was animated by unknown forces. Luto was associated with wealth and fire. Settled in labor mines in the sewers of Discovery, became an enemy of everybody, basically. A llama bone crown was stolen by the dragon. A horse bone crown was stolen by the dragon. A large amethyst was stolen by the dragon. A dog bone. So I know what a dog bone means, but it's the bones of a dog, right? But to me, a dog bone is a bone that you give to your dog. So the concept of a dragon stealing a dog bone crown is very funny to me. It was stolen from Ocean East during a rampage. Luto struck down a dwarf, was looted. I'm looking at who rezzed it or what rezzed it. Unless it's just always been undead, which would be just kind of funny. Arius Macaw bone figurine, a large black opal. An ungodly trances. The ungodly trances must have been a book. Attack the dwarf. Yeah, I guess you were just always... here I was hoping that this undead dragon was like rezzed by somebody specifically, but doesn't look like it. Is that a good thing? I don't know what that means, Deadliest. Apparently there's another dragon just called Luto Silverglow the Golden. There's several dragons that are alive, including this one. Considering they stole a cherry earring and devoured a water buffalo bull? Curious. I'm just always curious about their kill counts. Jesus. That's a lot of kills. 61 notable kills. Just gonna look up a random character that they killed. Let's say... Also, Velvety Thunder is a really good name for a place, except I would just shorten it to Velvet Thunder. And that would be like... That sounds like a Van Halen album. Oh no! This dwarf was born in the year 25 and died to a dragon in the year 25. Oh, that's sad. Oh, that's sad. Dragon killed a baby. Polish canyons. Well, that's unfortunate. Trying to be a ref for professional wrestling shows. It's really cool to get asked to be part of a show. Cool. I mean, you mean like show wrestling, right? Killed a lot of elves. I mean, I guess they are very flammable. Baby dwarf got eaten. Yep, spawn kill. Oh, man. Fucking spawn camping dwagon. Although, ironically, I don't think killed mom. Feb Polish Canyons was born in the year 25. He was the eldest son of Bomrek Chapel Syrups and Ibel Rockleafel. The dragon attacked Feb. Feb was struck down by the dragon. The dragon devoured Feb. Yeah, mom and dad didn't die to the dragon. That's... Okay, I guess that this one's on mom and dad then. Because he was born in 25, and it was the early spring of 25 that the dragon bit him. Very notable character. Notable enough to be written down in history books, yeah. That's for sure. It's funny because it's like... Why weren't mom and dad carrying baby? Why did they leave baby? That's why baby got eaten by dragon, is because they weren't carrying baby. Mom's supposed to carry baby. If you're not carrying baby, baby's gonna die. Die or toss baby and live. True, maybe baby was sacrificed by mom because they were like, oh no, we're not gonna make it out. Here, take the baby! That's... Ooh, a dwarf bone crown named Hoistrek. This is a legendary dwarf bone crown. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is decorated with jaguar bone and menaces with spikes of tetrahedrite and turquoise. It was created by the dwarf Logum Known Steels and was offered to the dwarf Odom Glazed Worship, the pleated construct by the dwarf Logum Known Steels. Just imagine with this click-through navigation for Steam. Yeah, no, I mean, I was looking at the what's it called? The PAX panel of this, because they showed some of Legends, and it looks pretty good. Looks really fucking good. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it with my eye and use it myself, get my hands on it. Chat investments are open if you guys want to invest your tickets and throw them into the bin of no return. Is generally where tickets go. But let's look up known steals. So, Logum, Morosser Deller, known Steels, was the youngest daughter of Odin Glazed Worship and Avuz Padalasli. Became childhood friends with Erush. Had some more childhood friends, and then in the year 33, became a weaponsmith in Brass Trance, became a member of the Earthen Hall, was taken by a fell mood, foul and terrible, in Brass Trance, murdered Ubal, Ace Glazed. Was that somebody that you knew previously? Well, that would have been even better, but no. Murdered Ace Glazed in Brass Trance, and Hoist Wreck was created and then offered to their father. I think that was their father, Autumn Glade Worship. Oh, parents. Offered it to their parents. Maffel broke up with them for, wait, hold on a second. Murdered somebody, made them into an artifact, and then got a lover. Okay, someone's into strange things. And then they broke up, and then became a bookkeeper of the Earthen Hall. Logum did while gambling in Brass and Trance, in the Fenced Fragrance, and then became a member of the Coven of Ivy and fought in the eviscerated onslaught in the defense of landslavers and was struck down by an elf. Well, that's not what I was hoping you'd go to prison or something. Help. You just bung most of them each time? What do they do? Absolutely nothing. What do they mean? Bragging rights. What's the point? I can track who's watching my stream and for how long. That's all it really is. I'm gonna look up Ace Glazed. Dwarf that was murdered. Made into a crown. Really? Was a captain of the guard. Was one of the first of her kind. In the mid-spring, the plated construct held a mace throwing competition. Is that like, what's the thing where you spin in circles and then you throw it? Like, you know, the stick with the ball on the end that you spin in circles and then you throw it? Is that called hurling? It's a track and field thing. I think it's probably an Olympic sport. Hammer throw? That's basically what I'm imagining this is. I mean, come on, a mace throwing competition? Obviously, you spin in circles and throw it. As part of the Walled Festival, competing were Nil, Astith, and Ubal. And Mestos, and Mestos was the victor. Ubal and Asteth became lovers. Ubal married Asteth. Ubal divorced Asteth Brastier and later. I guess they met at that mace throwing competition, which is kind of cute, actually. And then in the midsummer, Ubal began accepting bribes in exchange for leniency as the captain of the guard in the White Mirrors under the influence of the Dwarf Necromancer, Risen Tin Colors. The Dwarf Necromancer, Risen Tin Colors, met with Ubal and pulled rank, and the plan worked. And Ubal was murdered 10 years later. Probably because of that. Bonus points for taking out a judge? Damn right! Nobody likes the judge. They're just there to issue penalties. Dizzy throw? Exactly. Good win, Renee. Damn. Actually, good wins on a lot of people. All right, let's look up that Necromancer. Tin Colors. Risen became the champion of the White Mirrors. Had a lover, became obsessed with her own mortality, and sought to extend her life by any means necessary, due to the envy of those that live on. Broke up with their, Funeral of Graves was acquired. One of the gods made that. That's a slab. Acquired the Funeral of Graves and began accepting bribes in exchange for leniency as the captain of the guard in the White Mirrors under the influence of Risen. That was the captain of the guard who began accepting bribes. So I guess, like, Risen Tin Colors became a necromancer and started bribing the captain of the guard, who then gets changed into a crown 10 years later. And it's kind of funny, actually. So Ubal, Ace Glazed, was the captain of the guard, right? Got murdered by that other dwarf and turned into a crown named Hoistrak. In 33, Risen Tin Colors, the necromancer, who was bribing this captain of the guard. The captain of the guard got changed into a crown, and then this necromancer claimed that artifact. And then they began bribing this elf here. Hey, Uberfled. Thanks for the follow while I was offline, by the way. That's kind of neat. It's just like, I was bribing this person. I'm going to clean the crown made out of their bone. I mean, in gambling, you never mention the losers. You just simply highlight the winners so that people keep gambling, right? That's how this works? At least I'm assuming that's how this works. But by the year 70, Risen aroused general suspicion in Brassin Trance after appearing to not age, and then fled to the sprayed forest and became an overlord of the Papers of Soothing. I mean, come on, if you had a person that you knew that you were like bribing and then they got murdered and turned into a hat, would you not want to acquire that hat? I mean, you're already evil, right? I mean, to me, that's just logical. That there is just logical. But anyway, the Dwarf Necromancer taught the secrets of life and death to a different dwarf and became the master of that Dwarf Necromancer, and then they just started rezzing what they called Fallen Slayers. It seems to be a lot of dwarfy and elfy names, so they're just bringing a whole bunch of people back from the dead. They started writing about the errors of the mountain home, probably about how they got booted out, I would assume. And then meditation on the resurrection. So they're talking about resurrection and writing other books. They seem to just be bringing a lot of elven zombies back. A whole lot of elvens. The dwarf book. That's like the human book. Started writing, bringing more people back from the dead and writing more books. Also, can I just say, the place that this necromancer is living is called Woman Blockade. I'm not going to say that that's a good name. Are they blockading the women out or in? That's what I want to know. That's the part that I want to know. I actually want to know a lot about this. Also, Veil Trees is also good. No, that's Veil Tress, not trees. That's also, this is a good name. Thunder Route. Or Hazy Sparkles. I'm assuming, like, they're still just bringing elves back, so these are all elfy names, and elfy names are funny. Like Hazy Sparkles, Blaze Authors doesn't sound very elfy. Hazy Sparkles is very elfy. But like a robot made of wood? No, I mean, actually, elf zombies are quite scary because they have really good dodge stats, and they usually wield like metal weapons, so they're actually quite terrifying. Basically, I mean, wouldn't you? The Book of Resurrection. It's just authoring a whole bunch of Woman Blockade in the age of... Okay, I need to know what Woman Blockade was. I'm assuming it's just an elven site, right? You know, that one might actually be worse. That one might actually be worse. Anyway. Oh, it was a tower. Okay, that makes sense. It's the name of a tower. So Woman Blockade is the tower that was created by that necromancer, I'm assuming. The Papers of Soothing constructed and Tin Colors settled. So it basically was like, this is the tower that Necromancer, Risen, Tin Colors, and their Dwarf Fallen Slayers and their group founded. All right, let's go look up Strange Woman Blockade in the Age of Myth, Journey to Woman Blockade, and Beyond Die Woman. It's a guide entitled Strange Woman Blockade, authored by Risen Tin Colors. It concerns the Tower of Woman Blockade. The prose is great. Knowledge, Woman Blockade in the Age of Myth. It's a scroll. It's a guide entitled Woman Blockade in the Age of Myth. It concerns the Tower, Woman Blockade, and the prose is passable. And Journey to Woman Blockade, it's a 53-page guide entitled Journey to Woman Blockade, authored by Risen Tin Colors. It concerns the Tower, and it is masterful. Gotta respect the masterful writings of a necromancer. Few things can top that, truly. Truly. But it is also quite strange. Not a bad chunk of legends, though. Also, I have to say, I've been blown away by the number of people that have been tuning into my streams this past week. Like, if I were to do this stream like 2 weeks ago on a Sunday, we'd have 40 people here. But there's like 90 of you. So shout outs to you. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. We'll do a little bit more digging around in legends. Is there anything specific you guys want me to look up? And then after this, I'm gonna go play this chat versus streamer trivia game based on Wikipedia pages that I've discovered. Is it you? I don't know. Is it you? I mean, it's everybody, so you are included. Unless you just brought like 90 friends today, in which case then. But first, you guys gotta get down on my level. So far, I think the highlight of today was the Cobalt that managed to corrupt somebody. That's just way too funny to me. Yes. Try to find some interesting animal people. Yeah, the one squirrel, or the one chipmunk lady that we read about didn't last very long, did she? I could read about an opossum demon that died in year 10. Mozart, the Whiskered Keys, was an opossum demon. He was the only one of his kind, an enormous opossum twisted into humanoid form with lidless eyes. It has a bloated body and clear hair, which is very curly. Beware its webs. He was obsessed with war, trees, rain, and death. In the time before time, he thrust a spire of Slade up from the underworld, naming it the Castle of Rights, and established a gateway between worlds and swamp torments, and became the master of the Curled Nightmare. He ruled from the Castle of Rights of the Curled Nightmare and swamp torments. In the time before time, he created cover wards, and in the time before time, siege stances, the confidence of goals was created. And then Iffin, the Scorched Bristle, aided Mozir in becoming a permanent part of the living world. In that great fortress might be raised, and tested in siege. The ritual took place in cover wards using singed stances, the confidence of goals. Singed stances, the confidence of goals, was then stored in cover wards by Mozir. Mizir of the Curled Nightmare created the position of head chamberlain, high executioner, counselor, blah blah blah, set up all the politics and paperwork, and then the Curled Nightmare was attacked by the coalition of growth of the kingdom of Esteeming at Mobgloss, and Mozir led the attack, and the defenders were led by the human Bekor Crested Burn, and he fought and was struck down by a human. Cobalt with a D. D is how you spell kobold. Not with a T. You don't spell kobolds with T. That would be a cobalt. Like with the C, as in like the type of, like, stone. There you go. Well, that's kind of funny. I'm sorry, the something of what? Oh, okay, I read that very differently. One of my favorite necromancers I ever saw was a chipmunk. No, sorry, a hamster man necromancer who just like wrote shit tons of books and then eventually just died to a dragon. Like got eaten by a dragon. It's kind of out of nowhere, which very funny to me. Looking for some interesting characters, which I haven't seen many yet. Lots of undead stuff, you know? There's a barn owl god. Deity that occurs in the myths of the Federation of Worth. Iwa was depicted as a male barn owl and was associated with wind. Well, there is a god called Nani. Most often occurs in the Confederation of Worth. Nani takes is depicted as a male human and is associated with confusion. No, it's luck. Nani? There you go. I gave you that opportunity, and I was waiting for somebody. Okay, this font makes that name bad. Akom is a deity that occurs in the myths of the Stern Lash. Is depicted as a female dwarf and is associated with mercy and balance. Uh-huh. Balance. Kesting the Green Climax? Kesting the Green Climax was a deity that occurs in the myths of the Stern Lash. Kesting most often takes the form of a female dwarf and is associated with light in the sun. Uh-huh. Yep. Right. Pracubus. I don't know who Pracubus was. Pracubus was a kobold who was one of the first of his kind. Jalolosaralinus and Pracubus became lovers. Pracubus became an animal dissector in pain gutters, married Jalolzaranius, and became a member of Jologokikin, and then died of old age. I had a kid. Wow, that's impressive. We'll see you Tuesday, Taylor. Mercy, my balance. Just looking for names that stand out. Lots of gods in this world. Is the UI going to be better in the Steam version? Tried to get into this game a few times. Just go look at some screenshots. I'm sure you'll answer the question yourself. Like, just go to Steam and type in Dwarf Fortress and look at the screenshots. I mean, that's one of those questions where, like, you looking at screenshots will answer that question better than you asking me. I mean, this is what the UI in the Steam version is going to look like. Like, it's all here. And the Classic is also getting the UI as well. You're not sorry, animal. If I open this up and I click this, this is what Classic is going to look like. The Walls of Dripping sounds like an interesting god. It's probably just the god of rain. As long as it's not the Walls of Dripping Blood. So, I don't know. I feel like that's a question you could probably just answer yourself. You know, there was somebody who asked on one of my videos, they're just like, is the UI going to be improved for premium? And I shared them a link to the screenshots, and they said, no, that UI is bad. I want a better version than that one. It's like, well, good luck, I suppose. The human god Muddy occurs in the myths of the Bronze Confederacies. Muddy was most often depicted as a male human and was associated with metals. Checks out. There's a fire imp deity? Oh, that's cool. Wouldn't it be a nice format letting viewers access to legends like archaeologists? I mean, I've made my save files public before. Just like upload them and then just give chat the link. Thine was a deity that occurs in the myths of the Bronze Confederacies. Most often takes the form of a fire imp and is associated with volcanoes, mountains, and family, children, pregnancy, creation, and rebirth. Gosh, they got a little bit extensive there. Imagine, like, giving, like, a baby, like, just a plushy fire imp. Here's a burning demon that would set you on fire and kill you. Like, honestly, volcanoes, mountain, I get it. Family, children, pregnancy, creation, and rebirth? Maybe rebirth. You know, burning and rebirth. And I could also see creation, but I don't understand the connection to family. It's about family, clearly. This is a fun one. Spagothic Gut-Filled was a deity that occurs in the myth of the Bronze Confederacies. Most often is depicted as a skeletal male human and associated with disease and death. A cycle of life, exactly. The family that burns together stays together. I mean... You know, that actually looks like a normal name. It looks like Seamus. Name of that Cobalt. Knockor the Spry Bones. Step 1, make a baby. Step 2, throw him into the volcano. You know, you joke about that, but like, people definitely threw people into volcano. Oh my god! A kobold with a normal name. Fungus. Fungus was a kobold. She was one of the first of her kind. Became a hunter in air caves. Gave up being a hunter to be a miner in air caves. They can't mine, don't be silly. Found a lover. Broke up. Found a different lover. Broke up. Gave up being a miner. And died of old age. I'm actually, like, copying this one because I've never seen a kobold with, like, a name that makes sense. Fungus. Cobalt name Fungus. Also, chat room, if you guys have, like, more, like, deeper dwarfy questions, keep them in your mind because sometime in the next, well, actually, not this weekend, and not this week, but probably around the 13th or 14th, probably the 14th, a video is going to pop up on my channel where you can send in questions to be asked by me at Tarn, because Tarn's going to be joining me on the 17th. So, like, a little bit over a week from now, but Tarn will be joining me on stream again to do a pre-release chit-chat, and then the next one will probably, I guess, be somewhere in February. Post-release. Great Horned Owl Goddess. Abil the Washed was a deity that occurs in the myths of the humorous realms. Abili was the most often depicted as a female great horned owl and associated with mountains and rivers. I like owl gods. Owl gods are cool. Hey, Doc. What's up? Can you imagine being one of the first of your kind? You have 2 failed relationships? Well, there aren't going to be any more to mention in the sea, pretty much. No, Animal had to... No, Animal's still here. Animal! Someone's saying thank you. Then let me ping you to see. Well, I wonder if it's some sort of weird bug with... Wonder if it's some sort of weird bug with Animal being a VIP. Gust, the Violent, a human god. Githa Prestige Burns the Violent was a deity that occurs in the myths of the realms of flashing. Most often depicted as a skeletal human, was associated with war and death. You know, I started scrolling down here to try and find some animal people, but I'm just finding like humans. Humans, elves, and fuckloads of kobolds. Like so many kobolds. Paul Rudd is a god, chat. Paul Rudd takes the form of the friendly realm, was depicted as a male human and associated with jewels. Good to know that Paul's still got a career. The Friendly Lesson. Kalmak the Friendly Lesson was a deity that occurs in the myths of the legendary Union. Kalmak was often depicted as a male human and associated with beauty, art, and generosity. This checks out. It's the Ettins and the Cyclopses. Oh no. Oh no. Charabringus was a kobold born in year 3. Had some childhood friends. They broke up, got married to somebody named Dracker. Charabringus was buried alive by the human-cursed zombie Sass Present Umber in Clutch Shadow, and assumed the identity, and was buried alive in 88, and then in 91, Charabringus assumed the identity of the fated death and was brought back from the dead by a human necromancer. Okay. And then fought in the siege of Scolding. And then the human zombie Zilliers, the first finger's left hand was ripped off by this Cobalt. The Cobalt shot and killed a human. Settled in Tower Meeting. And is now a... I've never seen a Cobalt zombie before. Do those deities influence the realm? They can influence the thoughts and goals of people in charge of realms, which can influence the realm. But the deities are the characters that create, like, the secrets of life and death and, like, holy sites around the world. And religion and religious persecution can also, like, push the world in different directions. So, yeah. Hey, Miss Runner. Just doing some Legends today. Although I think I'm getting kind of close to the end of the Legends dig that I'm doing. And then we're going to check something else out. There's another game that I want to play a little bit of. Curious if it's a game that chat likes. I'm currently just looking for animal people, but I literally haven't found any yet. Ooh, a named Ogress? Thon Martyred Board. The lost zombie Gagu, Boardapple, and Thon became childhood friends, and then Thon became a dancer. Naturally. Seems to have just been a very... Oh, I see. Thon was abducted from Rainport by Vacker Ashtwillings and was imprisoned by Vacker. Vacker then changed Thon from a human into an ogress bridegroom of Shadow. Okay. And then became an enemy of a bunch of people. Hold on, what? So I guess change you into an undead ogre thing? Some sort of night creature? Seems to have fought with a bunch of things, became enemies with a bunch of people, and was struck down by Bembul. Apparently had a daughter who also became a zombie. Interesting. But Mist Runner, how was your weekend? I can ask. How you feeling? How goes the old speaking tubes? So many elves. Wait, hold up. I saw a vampire. So many shadow creature spouses. Maybe I didn't see a vampire. Lied. Although there's a legendary black bear. Trying to get some fun stuff. There's a female cougar. The black bear was born in the year 6 of unknown parentage. Settled in the perfect forest. Died of old age. You know, honestly, I wish my life was that simple. You know, born, unknown parents, settled in a perfect place, die of old age. Why are you legendary? What did this giant black bear do to me? I guess just was a big black bear. Uspra Wave Snake was a cougar born in year 10 of unknown parentage. She settled in the Cardinal Hill and died of old age. That's the cougar. Very interesting. I know. So I guess the, oh, there's a legendary Yeti. Asla the Lullaranus was a Yeti. It was one of the first of his kind, or one of the only ones of his kind. Settled in the basic wall. Became enemy of a few people. Struck, devoured a black bear, ate an emu, attacked an elf. The elf was beaten up, killed the elf, ate the elf, attacked a different elf, struck him down, devoured him, attacked another elf, struck him down, devoured him, attacked another elf, struck him down, devoured him, devoured a kiwi hen, and ate a coyote. Poor coyote. Became an enemy of some more people, ate a billy goat, attacked a dwarf, struck him down and ate him, attacked another dwarf, while defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. Became an enemy of the ambiguous glaze. Attacked another dwarf. Fought with the dwarf. The dwarf escaped. Attacked with another dwarf. And Asla struck down the dwarf and ate the dwarf. Ate a rooster. And then the dwarf fated one Mebzith, the accidental letter, confronted Asla. And Asla was struck down by that dwarf. How bad are your current ones? Yeah, some people don't really care. Saw a freak consort. A lot of those names, like freak and all that thing, are generally just like fancy names for zombies, right? Like a lot of these, damned one or wasting zombie, like a lot of these are like rotten slayer or void stalker. They're just zombies. They're just zombies with fancy names. I'm sorry, a legendary hungry head. Okay, not so much. It was born and died. Okay. I was hoping it, like, ate a cat or something. That is also true, yeah. I've had some weirdly shit expensive earbuds before. Dark Butcher? Like, that's also just a zombie, right? But worse than your over ears and your new phone doesn't have a headphone jack? I getcha. Bleak Hunter. Dwarf Plague Ghoul, Faint Zombie. Yeah, finding any animal, people. A lot of weird zombies. Hold this down a little longer and go. Brrrr. Well, you know, we found some interesting stories in this little world. It's been a while since I've dug into some legends. Hey, Ire Stupid, what's up, dude? But chat, I think that we're gonna try something else. We're gonna try something brand new. But yeah, this was just a little dive into this little world that I generated earlier today. It's kind of an unplanned, impromptu Legends read along. Found some fun characters, read about some histories, but I think that's it for Dwarfs for today. We're gonna go try something completely different. We're gonna go play a brand new game for me. Thanks for the 19 cents, Irish Stupid. Today is just kind of a short, barely planned stream, so tune in at the right time. I mean, we're just swapping games. We're not quitting. We're just swapping games. It only been 4 hours? Yeah, because today's my day off, man. You're getting a bonus. You should be thankful. Just saying. You should very much be thankful because I am providing you with entertainment